Global evolution. I transplanted the heart of the Supreme God. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 151 Swordsmanship Test. Kwang Chan smiled and said, "Okay, I'll tell you the truth. I'm helping you for two reasons. The first is because my brother has cancer, and I want to ask your connections with the indigenous people in the world of flesh and blood plague for treatment." Cancer. Bai Pu suddenly realized. In the psychic era, the physical fitness of humans has generally improved, but cancer is still considered a stubborn disease. Because the essence of cancer is that the growth and division of normal cells are out of control, and thus proliferate infinitely. Although the physical fitness of ordinary people in the psychic era has greatly improved, the cancer cells have also increased accordingly. The relationship between the two is a rising tide. The stronger cancer cells are also more difficult to eradicate. This situation cannot be changed even if you change your job to become an awakener, because the cancer cells of awakeners are stronger. Only a few indigenous scholars with professional counterparts are capable of solving this problem. For example, as the source plane, the flesh and blood plague world focuses on the distortion research of flesh and blood life forms, and the scholars there are naturally capable of solving cancer. Kwang Chan knew that Bai Pu had indigenous connections in the world of flesh and blood plague, because he learned from some channel that Bai Pu's trial task was to fuse the source blood. This step must be entrusted to a trusted Aboriginal scholar. That's why he made a request to Bai Pu. I can agree to this request and try my best to help you complete it, but I can't guarantee that I can do it. Bai Pu said, "Now tell me the second reason." Kwang Chan took a deep breath, and a rare hint of hatred appeared in his eyes. "The second reason is precisely the existence of the Superstar Alliance." "Do you have a grudge against the Superstar Alliance?" Bai Pu said. Kwang Chan shook his head slightly and said, "It's not me, but the entire Jiangnan Su family, who have an unsolvable feud with the Superstar Alliance." He smiled and said, "Speaking of which, the original heart tissue you got, originally belonged to our Su family." Kwang Chan didn't say the specific situation. Bai Pu knew it well. This should be the hatred between the Jiangnan Su family and the older generation of masters of the Superstar Alliance. It seems that the hatred is not small. No wonder Kwang Chan was so frank with Bai Pu. It turned out that the two sides had a common enemy. Bai Pu and Kwang Chan signed a temporary agreement, which stipulated that Kwang Chan would do his best to help Bai Pu complete the job transfer task. In return, Bai Pu would do his best to help his brother Su Shiji cure cancer. As for the common enemy of the Superstar Alliance, the two families did not need to sign an agreement. Because this was a common enemy of the two families, and it was a long-term struggle, it was not suitable to sign a short contract to notarize the will of the spirit world. After agreeing on the time to enter the spirit world, Kwang Chan drifted away. He did not intend to team up with Bai Pu to enter, but to form another team, which also required collecting tickets for the anchors of the world of blood plague, distortion. For the next half-month, Bai Pu's life was quite regular. He started live broadcasting every day, practicing sword, and practicing sword. This live broadcast style is indeed difficult to retain fans. Many passers-by who were amazed by Bai Pu's appearance at first sight, when watching Bai Pu's sword practice, their emotions would change from amazement to doubt, then questioning and numbness, and finally either stay and become a member of the face fan, or leave to have fun in other live broadcast rooms. Even the super administrator of the Bayesian platform sent a private message to Bai Pu, asking him to change his live broadcast style a little bit and learn the style of the top awakened anchors, such as being mean, cool, and borderline. In this era of eyeball economy, as long as you can attract fans, you can do anything. So what if you are an awakened person? Awakened people cannot be high and mighty, because the gifts given by the audience can be converted into spiritual energy points, which is the lifeline of awakened people. But Bai Pu remained the same. Nature cannot be taken away. Bai Pu himself is not the kind of person who can stir up the atmosphere and drive the rhythm. Although based on high IQ and EQ, Bai Pu can pretend to be such a good at dealing with things in a short period of time, and can even maintain this performance for a long time with strong self-control and perseverance. But this will make Bai Pu physically and mentally exhausted, and it will not have the effect of relaxing his mind at all. You must know that the exploration of the spiritual world is thrilling and fierce battles are everywhere, and the nerves are always tense. If you can't rest well in the real world, no matter how strong the nerves are, they will break sooner or later. Now those who are willing to stay are basically fans with high viscosity, or they are very loyal and will not easily leave. These fans are mainly young girls, and their fighting power is really not to be underestimated. Although there are not many people, the gifts have basically never stopped. In addition to the light sticks that can be obtained for free by logging in daily, many people will send paid gifts such as golden melon seeds and cola worth 1 to 5 yuan, and occasionally there are fans who send gifts such as golden treasure boxes worth hundreds of Chinese yuan. Accumulated, the daily income is actually thousands of yuan. However, when converted into spiritual energy points, there are only a dozen points, which is a drop in the bucket. Now I've practiced almost enough. Bai Pu felt that his swordsmanship had almost reached a level required by Bai Mingjihu. In the training space of the virtual spiritual world, he has been able to use the simulated practice heavy sword to simultaneously point ink marks on 8 suspended wooden boards, and the wooden boards themselves hardly shook. Back to reality, Bai Pu took out the practice heavy sword and released the flies that he had asked Li Ling to catch in advance. Fortunately it was the turn of summer and autumn, otherwise the flies would be really hard to find. The fly that regained its freedom flew in the air for a while and then stopped in different places. Bai Pu's confusing behavior caused quite a stir in the live broadcast room. The audience was pleasantly surprised to find that Bai Pu finally stopped repeating the boring sword practice movements. What is Gangson Judge doing? Jiao gave Gangson small TV 10. Small TV is a more expensive gift on the Beizhen platform. One costs 100 Chinese yuan, so this gift is 1,000 yuan, which is equivalent to about 17 spiritual energy points. He is worthy of being the number one brother on the list, he is so arrogant. Obviously, Jiao also figured out Bai Pu's character, and gave a gift before every interaction. Sure enough, Bai Pu heard the gift notification sound, looked up at the barrage, and said, check the results of sword practice during this period. Use this heavy sword to kill 8 flies at the same time, and there must be no stains on the wall. The barrage was overwhelming. Although there were few people, they were all active fans. Gang Xin, who usually didn't talk, was finally willing to interact, and everyone was immediately excited. Is this a sword? It looks like an iron rod on a construction site. How heavy must it be? Can the anchor really do it? I don't believe it. Did you see the anchor poking the wooden board? Can the wooden board be the same as a fly? Flies can fly. The barrage was noisy. Bai Pu waited patiently until more than a dozen flies landed on the wall. He moved his hands and feet, and practiced a heavy sword with both hands. If the anchor likes to stir up the atmosphere, he might make a bed at this time and start after attracting enough attention. But Bai Pu just took a step without any warning, and the heavy sword was handed out at a speed that was difficult to see with the naked eye. This is the speed of the sword during practice. The force is light and the hand is fast. The damage caused is very slight. It is mainly to practice the skill of lifting heavy things as if they were light and to practice the control of force. It is different from the full-strength sword in battle. The force of the sword in battle is powerful and the damage caused is high, but the speed of the sword is not so exaggerated. Swish! After a series of dazzling stabs, 8 flies on the wall slowly slid down. The other flies scattered. The wall was as white as new. Chapter 152, Wuxian Goddess. The barrage was strangely quiet for a few seconds, and then a series of long barrages came. Without exception, they were all praises. Many people also sent gifts. Bai Pu did not look closely at the rainbow farts. He had already received a prompt from the will of the spirit world. You have completed the skill test of Bai Ming Zhuan Jingliu Sect Master, Bai Ming Jihu. Your advanced equipment, two-handed swordsmanship expertise, directly upgraded to advanced level 4, the current level is advanced level 5, limit breaker +1, you have gained insights and can choose an additional two-handed swordsmanship expertise special effect. This special effect will not replace the previous two-handed swordsmanship expertise special effect. In front of Bai Pu, a translucent special effect list appeared. This is the special effect list displayed by the will of the spirit world, which will not be captured by the psychic camera. Bai Pu showed a surprised smile, which caused a wave of licking the screen formation in the barrage. Sure enough, the guidance and test of the indigenous strongman was not small, and he could actually draw an extra expertise special effect. The so-called extra option can be effective at the same time as the Seeking Wind special effect, and will not replace it. Bai Pu noticed that the first few special effects that appeared this time were all regular options, but the last one was a special option. Collapse of mountains. When you draw your sword, you can temporarily increase your sword strength, infuse part of your professional energy into ordinary attacks, and form an explosive attack. Infusing professional energy into ordinary attacks? Bai Pu's eyes lit up. This is an ability that only supermasters in the Heart Demon world like Bei Ming Jihu and Dongbo Chang Zhi have. Their combat expertise has reached the advanced level 7 or above. For example, Dongbo Chang Zhi, when he draws his sword, the breeze is warm, but once the tip of the sword hits the enemy, it is possible to burst out a sharp wind blade, tearing the opponent apart to form terrible damage similar to skills. Bai Pu decisively chose the Collapse of Mountains special effect. A feeling of enlightenment emerged, and Bai Pu felt that he had a preliminary understanding of how to mobilize the professional energy in his body, blood fighting spirit. Now the range of his mobilization is still relatively small, but as his combat expertise increases, the range of mobilization will increase. Originally, when a sword was thrust out, the opponent would see it as a light and ordinary attack, and might only use 50% of his strength to parry, and the other 50% to plan a counterattack. However, the bloody fighting spirit that Bai Pu burst out at the moment of the sword collision could cause a heavy blow to the opponent. Bai Pu was satisfied with the special effect, and he felt that his hard work was not in vain. During this period, Bai Pu also practiced a shield mastery expertise to the advanced level 3, and obtained the opportunity to extract the special effect of the advanced level 4. This time, there were no rare affixes, so Bai Pu chose a simple special effect deflection. Deflection. When you set up a shield, you can more accurately judge the direction of the opponent's force, deflect the opponent's attack, reduce the damage this time, and reduce the shield durability consumption by 50%. Sharpening the knife does not delay the chopping of wood. It is time to enter the spirit world. Now in the storage space, the body of the demon general hunting sickle has become much shriveled. Bai Pu checked and found that the living tissue of the original heart can remain active for about 40 days. That's enough. Bai Pu's second job transfer task should not take 40 days. Bai Pu put on a sharp long knife, poked the other flies flying in the air, and then cleaned the room. He said goodbye to the audience in the live broadcast room, and then went off the air at the speed of light amid a series of question marks. After Bai Pu went off the air, he said goodbye to Li Ling first. I have to ask Li Ling to post a notice in the live broadcast room after Bai Pu matches and enters the spirit world, saying the anchor is going to the spirit world to explore and temporarily stop broadcasting. Why not announce it directly in the live broadcast? Hey, those who understand will understand. Although Bai Pu also knew that the big forces must have awakened people like Red Crow who have the ability to peek remotely, the Superstar Alliance will be able to basically determine when he will go to the spirit world for the second job transfer. But it still needs to be done to add a little difficulty to the enemy. Li Ling stopped him. By the way, check your watch. Yuan Yu sent you a message just now. When Bai Pu was practicing swordplay, he usually didn't wear a watch, or set it to mute mode. When he put on his watch, he saw 3 missed calls from Yuan Yu, and a text message. Yuan Yu, Steel Heart, I helped you promote the rejuvenating cream. An elder is very interested and wants to buy a few more bottles from you. Here is her contact information, remember to add it. Bai Pu replied with a thank you, then clicked on the contact information to add a friend. The friend added was named Weshing Goddess. Tisk, this name looks like Sister Yuan Yu, a little coquettish but not revealing. But since she is an elder, she should be quite old, it may not be appropriate to use this name. It is better to change the name to Shai Anshin Tongleo. Bai Pu complained in his heart, and then sent a message naturally. Gangson, how many bottles of rejuvenating cream do you want? System message, Wushan Goddess requests a video call with you, do you agree? Bai Pu agreed. A virtual light screen was projected above the personal information terminal watch. The video call was connected, and the other party's image appeared in the virtual light screen. Bai Pu's heart twitched. Damn. It was too careless. In the virtual light screen, there was a woman wearing a shower cap and a bath towel. She was beautiful and noble, and she felt very similar to Qin. There was a kind of awe-inspiring majesty between her eyebrows, which seemed to be the temperament she developed from being in a high position for a long time and giving orders. More like Kin's real side. Through the video light screen, you can only see the upper body of this noble beauty, all the way to the hips wrapped in the bath towel. Her chest seemed to be about to burst the bath towel, with a thin waist and plump buttocks, and a breathtaking figure. The goddess of Wushan has a cold temperament, but she just finished bathing, her face is ruddy, and she has a hint of heart-shaking charm. This mixed temperament is particularly deadly. Fortunately, Bai Pu had also been baptized by the zither, so he quickly calmed down. Hello, are you the elder of Sister Yuanayu? How many bottles of anti-aging cream do you want? The goddess of Wushan had a smile on her lips, and seemed to be quite satisfied with Bai Pu's performance. She said softly, little friend Gangson, I am in a disheveled state, and you laughed at me. Just wait for me for 10 seconds. She stretched out a hand and covered the video camera, and the screen in front of Bai Pu suddenly became dark. 10 seconds later, the video camera was restored. The whole body outfit of the goddess of Wushan has completely changed. It is a rather tight and capable women's suit that covers her body tightly. However, the collar of the suit has a feeling of being overwhelmed, and is squeezed to the sides by two unspeakable spherical parts. Bai Pu is not worried that the buttons of the suit will fall off. He knows that the goddess of Wushan is a powerful awakener, and this suit must also be the transmogrified mode of the equipment. The 10 seconds just now should be the time it takes for the goddess of Wushan to activate the equipment transmogrification mode. Then, when she first answered the phone wrapped in a bath towel, was she trying to make a fool of myself and take the initiative in the conversation? Bai Pu's eyes twitched secretly. It's just buying a few bottles of anti-aging cream, but even such means are used. It's really too humiliating. Do I look like the kind of person who asks for a lot? The goddess of Wushan seemed to see through Bai Pu's thoughts, and said lightly, I didn't come to you just to buy a few bottles of anti-aging cream. I have something to ask for. Bai Pu's expression was stern. The goddess of Wushan said, I have a niece who is not easy to worry about. She is very hardworking and has good comprehension, but her emotional intelligence is not high, and her ability to explore the spirit world is not strong. She is almost level 7 now, and she hasn't completed her second job change. Chapter 153 Observation and Learning. Bai Pu smiled awkwardly but politely. You think too highly of me. I'm only level 3 and can't help you. The goddess of Wushan shook her head. You have met her a long time ago. In the college entrance examination, you were the one who eliminated her. Remember? Bai Pu's face moved slightly. Your niece, could her code name be Blood Spider? It seems that you still remember her. But I prefer to call her name, Kingayan. The goddess of Wushan smiled. Kingayan, like you, completed the trial mission in the world of Blood Plague, Origin, and successfully awakened. So her second job change also has to be in the world of Flesh Plague. Blood Spider is almost level 7. If she wants to change her job, it should be in the advanced world area, right? Bai Pu said, I'm going to the intermediate area. The world area of Blood Plague, Distortion, will not help her job change. Don't worry, I'm not so greedy as to let you help her with the job change task. The goddess of Wushan said, Kingayan is now level 6 and can enter the world area of Blood Plague, Distortion. Let her follow you this time and learn how to deal with the natives. Bai Pu hesitated after hearing this. Although the goddess of Wushan was introduced by his teammate Yuanayu, Bai Pu's guard against Yuanayu has not yet been eliminated, let alone trusting the goddess of Wushan? Shangda can't do it either. The goddess of Wushan persuaded, Gangson, I also know a little about your situation. Next time you enter the spirit world, you should encounter the full resistance of the Superstar Alliance, right? Although Kingayan's emotional intelligence is not high, her strength is still good. She will help you solve some troubles from the awakened, and it will not affect your job transfer tasks. The strength of the Blood Spider is more than good. Counting the 20% increase in enemy damage and self-damage reduction due to level suppression, she is more terrifying than Guangzhen. Bai Pu is still not sure that he can beat her. Sorry, I don't want an awakener to know my mission information during the job transfer mission. Bai Pu calmed down. What if the Blood Spider was colluding with the Superstar Alliance under the banner of learning and sold Bai Pu's mission information? The consequences would be disastrous. Wushan got aside. What a cautious little guy. In this way, I will take a step back. You can order Kingayan to fight. You don't need to tell her your mission information. Only when you review it afterwards, you can teach her your choice and thinking process at that time. In addition, I will pay a necessary reward. Wuxian Goddess sent the information of an item. Golden Parachute, a level prop. It allows the holder to ignore the requirements of the main task and forcibly detach from the spirit world and return to the real world. Can be used in the intermediate spirit world area, a forced detachment prop that can be used in the intermediate spirit world area. A high-level product that takes effect instantly. Bai Pu's heart was instantly moved. In the intermediate spirit world area, the world intensity is higher, which means that the constraints of time and space become stronger. Low-level forced detachment props cannot take effect. At the level of intermediate awakeners, the number of forced separation items has become much scarcer. Generally, only those who are highly concerned by major forces and are the focus of training have the opportunity to exchange them, and the exchange price is high. Ordinary intermediate awakeners do not even have the authority to see forced separation items. Bai Pu is the focus of the Shenzhen army. He has the authority to exchange for a forced separation item, intermediate, but it requires 7,000 honors, and it is a low-end item that takes 10 seconds to prepare before it can take effect. Bai Pu originally planned not to bring a forced separation item, but he did not expect this, Wuxian Goddess, to be so generous. This directly increased the credibility of the Wuxian Goddess, making it difficult for Bai Pu to believe that she was an enemy. The Goddess of Wuxian was obviously an expert in negotiation. When Bai Pu was tempted, she struck while the iron was hot and said, "I have another piece of information about some intermediate awakeners in the Superstar Alliance. I know that the Shenzhen Army and the Special Service Bureau must have similar information, but you can make a comprehensive analysis, which will definitely help you." Bai Pu breathed a sigh of relief. "You make sense, I agree. When will I meet with Blood Spider? King Guyan is already in Zichen." The Goddess of Wuxian smiled a little strangely, as if she was a little helpless. "I'll ask her to bring the props and come to you." Bai Pu was stunned. As far as he knew, Blood Spider was a candidate from the East China Sea region. How could she be in Zichen? Did the Goddess of Wuxian decide from the beginning that she could convince me? So she let Blood Spider set off in advance? What a terrible self-confidence and judgment. Bai Pu couldn't help but imagine. "Okay, now that we've finished our business, let's talk about the anti-aging cream." The Goddess of Wuxian gently patted her delicate little face. "Give me 10 bottles. How much are you going to charge me?" Speaking of money, Bai Pu immediately became serious. "I don't need money, I only charge psychic points." The significance of Huaxia currency to Bai Pu is only food, clothing, housing and transportation. The Shenzhen army provides food and accommodation, and Bai Pu has equipment and transformed clothes. As for traveling, he usually stays at home to practice swordsmanship and rarely goes out. That's why Su Xiaoxiao and Li Ling complained that Bai Pu was extremely frugal, and even the basic salary of 5,000 yuan a month for the Special Service Bureau was almost untouched. I'm talking about psychic points. The Goddess of Wuxian was very domineering. Although the raw materials used in the anti-aging cream are very ordinary, the finished product is always a psychic item, and it must be settled with psychic points. Bai Pu had a headache. If the raw materials were counted, the cost of a bottle of anti-aging cream might not even use 10 psychic points. You know, Bai Pu can make dozens of bottles in one pot. Although the raw materials are not expensive, the labor cost is very high. I don't have time to make it often. It must be limited in supply. Bai Pu said. The whole sentence can be converted into 3 words, it has to be charged. How many bottles can you produce in a year? Asked the Goddess of Wuxian. The current plan is a maximum of 100 bottles a month, and the annual volume will not exceed 1,000 bottles. Bai Pu thought about it, and quickly added, each person can only buy 1 bottle a month. Buy it from Li Ling. What a business-minded kid. The Goddess of Wuxian snorted, if it is a limited edition, it is indeed worth a higher price. Can I buy 12 bottles at a time as a year's volume? I'll give you 10,000 spiritual energy points. Li Ling next to her was shocked. She knew exactly how low the cost of the anti-aging cream was. Now it is almost 1,000 spiritual energy points per bottle, which is a huge profit of more than 100 times. Bai Pu sighed and said, your request makes it difficult for me to do so. Okay, I'll take a step back and sell you 12 bottles. Let's make it clear in advance that if someone comes to me with this matter, I won't admit it. The Goddess of Wuxian smiled and said, don't worry, I won't spread it around. After the video screen was hung up, Li Ling asked curiously, why do you act like you've suffered a big loss? 10,000 spiritual energy points. I didn't suffer a loss, but this, Goddess of Wuxian, Must have taken advantage of me. Bai Pu said, the reputation of the youth cream is still small now. You think the price of 1,000 spiritual energy points per bottle is expensive. But this is an irreplaceable limited edition item. Although Bai Pu didn't understand the lethality of the youth cream to women, he knew how powerful the combination of the two terms irreplaceable and limited edition would be. If Bai Pu packaged it well and reduced production, it is estimated that the youth cream would be listed in the auction of awakeners in the future. It's just that he didn't want to spend energy on commercial operations. Next, he just had to wait for the blood spider to come. Chapter 154, a level wanted criminal. Hidden snake. Bai Pu received the information from Wuxian Goddess and clicked to open it. He compared the intelligence information from the Special Service Bureau and began to analyze the opponents of the Superstar Alliance that he would face one by one. This guy, code-named Hidden Snake, is a bit scary. Li Ling said softly. Hidden Snake is a level 6 hero profession and an A level wanted criminal. The wanted level of an intermediate awakener is generally around B level, and the highest does not exceed B+. Hidden Snake actually got an A level wanted level as an intermediate awakener, which can only mean one thing. He has the strength comparable to that of a high-level awakener. After the information from the Special Service Bureau, a paragraph was attached to explain the reason. Hidden Snake himself is a level 6 hero profession Phantom Dragon Fang, and he is assisted by two powerful B+ level wanted criminals Nightwing and Golden Butterfly. The three of them formed a criminal gang called Dragon Snake Squad. Once an A-level special agent encountered the Dragon Snake Squad in the wilderness area and died in the line of duty. The wanted level of Hidden Snake is hereby raised to Class A. All special agents must be cautious and not face them alone. Li Ling felt heavy in her heart after reading this note. Class A special agents are all powerful high-level awakeners with rich combat experience, which gives them a great advantage over mid-level awakeners. Such masters actually died at the hands of Hidden Snake. Based on the hatred of the Superstar Alliance towards Bai Pu, it is almost certain that the Hidden Snake will be dispatched for revenge. Li Ling was worried about Bai Pu, but she could not find a reason to persuade Bai Pu to give up. Bai Pu smiled and said, "It's okay, let him come." Blood Spider was very fast, and soon arrived at the Zichen branch of the Shenzhen army and met Bai Pu. Although he had dealt with her in the Three Kingdoms, Red Cliff scene, it was the first time that Bai Pu saw Blood Spider's appearance. This time she was not wearing the black mask, probably to hide her head equipment. She had a beautiful appearance, and her lips were slightly pursed, revealing a stubbornness that refused to admit defeat. His eyes moved down. Blood Spider's equipment transformed into a t-shirt with a Squirtle printed on it and high-waisted jeans. From the front angle, Squirtle seemed to be angry, and its skull had swelled. Bai Pu finally understood. No wonder the goddess of Wuxian had such a broad mind. It turned out to be a family trait. He even had some doubts. Were the two really just aunt and nephew? Blood Spider, your aunt should have told you the specific situation, right? Bai Pu said. Blood Spider nodded slightly. She asked me to listen to your, not excessive requests. Can you tell me some of your specific information? Bai Pu rubbed his hands and made the first request. Blood Spider nodded gently. Based on the active display of the Awakener, Blood Spider, you learned some information about the target, Blood Spider, Enhanced Elite Level 6, Race, Humanoid Human, Profession, Blood Curse Hunter, Attributes, Strength 35, Agility 77, Endurance 39, Spirit 24, Professional Skills, Blood Curse, impose a hidden blood curse mark on the target, which lasts for 72 hours. During this period, you will sense the target's vague position. Your attacks on the blood curse target will cause additional dark attribute magic damage. Blood Curse Level 4 Special Effect, Blood Curse Tracking. When the blood curse is activated, a blood red dotted line pointing to the target's position will appear in your field of vision. As you move along the blood red dotted line, you gain a continuously increasing movement speed bonus, up to a maximum of 77 points. Skill 1, High Frequency Whirling Stab Level 5, use high frequency rotating blades to cause heavy penetrating damage to the enemy. Level 4 Special Effect, Cripple. Enemies that are moderately damaged by high frequency whirling stabs need to pass the endurance judgment, otherwise they will be disabled. Skill 2, Demonized Spider Silk Level 5, omitted. Skills 3-6, hidden. The Blood Spider hid 4 skills and only displayed 2 main combat skills. Bai Pu did not require to see all her information. After a brief assessment, He found that the strength of the blood spider was quite strong among the intermediate awakeners, probably because of the luxurious equipment. "Are you ready?" Bai Pu said. "We are going to set off." "I'm ready any time." After getting the definite answer from Blood Spider, Bai Pu sent a notification to Quang Chan. Quang Chan replied with an okay. Because Quang Chan was going to enter with his own team, he would not team up with Bai Pu. Although it is relatively simple to form a team now, the overall strength of the team is overestimated, which will put it at a disadvantage in the balance of the will of the spiritual world and in the world situation, such as longer waiting times, delayed entry time, and so on. The two have reached a tacit understanding that Quang Chan's team will do its best to help Bai Pu eliminate the interference from the Superstar Alliance, so that Bai Pu can successfully transfer his job without interference, and this can be accomplished without forming a team. Quang Chan also gave Bai Pu a prop for communication in the spiritual world. It will not be too late to contact him after entering the spiritual world. Li Ling pulled Bai Pu's arm. "You, be careful." She knew that her actual combat ability was weak, and even if she went, she would only drag Bai Pu down. "Don't worry, Sister Ling." Bai Pu showed a confident smile. He then extended his hand to the blood spider. The blood spider extended his hand and shook hands with Bai Pu. In Bai Pu's storage space, the original heart tissue hidden in the body of the demon general hunting scythe emitted light. "You are applying for the trial of the second job transfer task. Your special spiritual world wonder, the living tissue of the original heart has reached the standard for opening the trial of the second job transfer task, which will teleport you to the world of flesh plague, distortion." "Are you sure?" Bai Pu chose to confirm. He and the blood spider's body were wrapped in soft white light and slowly disappeared. Between the flashes of light, a familiar feeling of weightlessness came. Bai Pu discovered that this spiritual world teleportation was quite different from the previous one. A transparent bubble wrapped him and the blood spider. At the same time, multiple transparent bubbles of various sizes appeared around. In each transparent bubble, there is an awakened person. Bai Pu saw Quang Chan. Beside Quang Chan, there were two middle-aged awakened people, probably his teammates. Quang Chan smiled at Bai Pu and then made a concealed gesture with his finger. Bai Pu looked in the direction Quang Chan pointed and saw three awakened people in a large bubble opposite. The one standing in the middle had eyes like snake pupils, revealing a cold feeling. "Yin Snake." Bai Pu was alerted. Sure enough, Yin Snake, the strongest fighter among the intermediate awakened people in the Superstar Alliance, the A-level wanted criminal, also appeared in the world of blood and flesh plague, distortion. Bai Pu's eyes met those snake pupils, and he felt a chill on the back of his neck, as if he was stared at by a poisonous snake. Yin Snake pointed at Bai Pu, then stretched out his thumb and scratched his throat, with a strong threat. Bai Pu gave Yin Snake a thumbs up, and when Yin Snake sneered, his thumb suddenly turned downward 180 degrees. He then stopped looking at Yin Snake and silently counted the number of awakened people matched together this time. There are more than 40 people in total. In addition to the Dragon Snake team led by Yinj, there are other blocking teams of the Superstar Alliance, as well as ordinary awakeners who were involved by coincidence. So many awakeners are actually matched in one area. Is this the change in the matching mechanism of the will of the spirit world? Bai Pu thought silently. He temporarily removed the title of Double-Edged Sword. This title is very cool when it is used to crush weak ones, but now that he has entered the intermediate spirit world, he is facing opponents who suppress him by level, so he still has to have a little ought to ensure his survival ability. The light flashed, and transparent bubbles turned into light spots, shooting out from this matching space and into the vast spirit world. There will be an additional update at noon today. Chapter 155, The World's Beacon. Welcome to the plain world of flesh plague, distortion, and take the second job transfer task. You have temporarily acquired the language of this plane, Old Swedish. Your appearance and clothing have been temporarily adjusted to adapt to the original inhabitants, and will not arouse the suspicion of the natives. The adjustment of appearance and clothing will not affect your hidden attribute, charm. Flesh plague, distortion time. 17th century region, Europe Scandinavia intensity. 2.7 background, a blood-red meteorite from space fell on the Scandinavian peninsula. The curse of flesh and blood spread across the peninsula. Many people died and became dead plaguers who acted on instinct, wandering on the dark land, longing for delicious flesh and blood. In the center of the curse, Scandinavia, a blood-red fortress rose from the ground, and the former king became the emperor who ruled countless deformed monsters. His ministers and generals were still loyal to him and managed the terrible deformed army for him. His people still work humbly to support the terrible blood empire. The light faded, and Bai Pu stepped in the solid land. First, there was a feeling of discomfort. The body became heavier, the air became sticky, and the resistance increased. Even the rivers in the land here have a solid, heavy, and indestructible feeling. World Strength 2.7. Bai Pu said to himself, "It seems that this is also a change in the will of the spirit world. The difficulty of the world has become higher." According to the information, the original strength of the world of blood plague, distortion, was 2.2. Compared with the three kingdoms, Red Cliff scene, the difficulty is 2.4, and the difficulty of blood plague, distortion is relatively low. Now the world strength has directly climbed by 0.5, which means that the strength of the natives has been greatly enhanced. The strength of the natives and the world strength are in a rising tide, lifts or boats relationship. The greater the world strength, the stronger the natives. If the world strength decreases, the strength of the natives will also decrease. This law is called world signpost. The natives are the signposts of the world. This change is most obvious when the natives cross different difficulty areas in the spirit world. For example, Dongbo Changzi is about the level of a level 4 enhanced leader in low-level difficulty areas, such as the East Wasteland Forest and Zhuangwu Mountain. But if he goes to the intermediate world area of Heart Demon, Great Wasteland River, for some reason, his strength will rise rapidly, climbing to level 6 or even level 7. Moreover, in Dongbo Changzi's memory, this memory of rapid strength increase will be blurred, and Dongbo Changzi will naturally think that he has always been so strong. If Dongbo Changzi travels back to the East Wasteland Forest from the world area of Heart Demon, Great Wasteland River, his level will quickly drop to level 4, and this memory will also be blurred. This is a kind of knowledge barrier naturally produced by the natives who have not broken the mystery of the world. Blood Spider hesitated for a moment and asked, "Has your job transfer task been triggered?" "Not yet." Bai Pu checked the living tissue of the original heart, which indicated that he could stay in the world of blood and flesh plague, distortion, for 5 days. This is the duration of the anchor's stay in the spirit world. If Bai Pu fails to trigger the job transfer task or the main task of the faction after 5 days, the only result is exile. Since this trip is to serve as a teacher and demonstrate the process of the second job transfer to Blood Spider, Bai Pu still intends to say a few more words. After all, he has received tuition fees. In addition to Blood Spider, a powerful thug, there is also the intermediate forced escape item, Golden Parachute. Equivalent exchange has always been the principle that Bai Pu believes in. The background of the world of flesh plague, distortion is the opposition between the Shinra Expeditionary Force and the Blood Ring. From a historical perspective, the Shinra Expedition was a coalition army established with Brandenburg as the main body and various city-states affiliated to the Holy Roman Empire, sending troops. Blood Spider also knew this background information, but she listened very carefully and even took out a small notebook to take notes while listening. Bai Pu continued, "In the last world, I established a good relationship with some high-ranking figures of the Shinra Expeditionary Force. Among them, there is a native named Kin, who has a particularly high favorability. She is also an expert in source blood. Since I am changing my job with the original heart tissue that is inherited from the source blood, I must have obtained the clues of the job change task from her." Blood Spider raised his hand, "So the first step is to find this native named Kin." "Yes." Bai Pu nodded. Blood Spider put away the small notebook and followed Bai Pu along the carriage road. Bai Pu exhaled lightly and said, "I want to find Kin." The Superstar Alliance also knows this key information. Before us, there were 3 awakened teams that entered in advance. I think there should be at least one Superstar Alliance team here. What do you think the Superstar Alliance team will do? Blood Spider immediately took out the small notebook again, and stared at Bai Pu with eager eyes. Bai Pu glanced at her and had already judged Blood Spider as big and brainless. He continued, "The bottom line of the Superstar Alliance's goal this time is to prevent me from successfully changing my job for the second time. It would be best if they could use bloody items to kill me in this world. As a forerunner, the Superstar Alliance team that entered the spirit world earlier than us is definitely not as strong as us. After they enter, their target is definitely not me, but Kin. As long as they kill Kin, they can destroy my momentum in the world of the flesh and blood plague, making my job change task more difficult. Blood Spider asked, "How strong is Qin?" Bai Pu replied, "In the world area of Flesh and Blood Plague, Origin, she is a level 3 enhanced elite. If Qin appeared in the world area of Flesh and Blood Plague, Distortion, she should become a level 5 or 6 enhanced elite." Blood Spider knew the rule that the natives were the world's beacons better than Bai Pu. She frowned and said, "It is not difficult for the Superstar Alliance team to surround and kill a level 5 or 6 enhanced elite." Bai Pu's mouth was filled with a hint of sneer. This move by the Superstar Alliance team is good. But they are afraid that they will hide a steel plate. They don't know at all that the so-called Brandon Court Advisor is just a disguise of Qin. Her true identity and strength are enough to make the Superstar Alliance's advanced team despair. Along the road, Bai Pu and the others first came to a farm. Here, they saw numb farmers and dead plague victims who wore masks and were ruthless supervisors. These dead plague victims were given the simplest orders. If you see a lazy farmer, whip him with a whip. If you catch a lazy farmer, whip him at least 10 times, no limit, until he moves. These farmers are also the subjects of Gustav, King of Sweden. However, with the spread of the curse of flesh and blood, Gustav became the Blood Ring Emperor, the deformed subjects became minions, and the non-deformed subjects became slaves. After all, the deformed also need to eat. It is impossible to expect the lower-level dead plague to do fine farming work. This is also the reason why this group of lower-level farmers can survive. Just at this time, a shout of killing sounded, and a team of militiamen wearing Brandon standard leather armor rushed into the farm, besieging the dead plague in groups of 3 or 5. The militia leader was actually an old acquaintance of Bai Pu, the militiaman who had surrounded and killed the Blood Ring Heavy Hammer with him at the beginning, Yinghua. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 156 Brother Dio. You've become stronger. Compared with the last time, Yinghua not only grew into a militia leader, but his strength was also greatly enhanced. He was already a level 4 elite template. This was obviously the effect of the world's beacon law. After all, Yinghua came from a world of 1.5 strength across the sea to a world of 2.7 strength. Otherwise, no matter how fast Yinghua grew, it would be impossible for him to grow from a militia with a weak level 1 template to an elite level 4 template in just 1 or 2 months. Of course, his template could be upgraded to an elite because of his own intelligence, hard work, high comprehension, etc. It was an individual case and could not be simply attributed to the effect of the world's beacon. However, the Death Plague supervisor he faced was also a level 4 ordinary template, and his strength was greatly enhanced. There were about 7 or 8 Death Plague supervisors in this farm. The number of militiamen was dominant, and the farmers in the farm saw the arrival of the Shinra Expeditionary Force and also waved their hoes and joined the ranks of attacking the Death Plague. Several militiamen besieged a Death Plague, with stronger militiamen in the front and other militiamen responsible for attacking, which was still quite advantageous. Even if they were scratched by the plague, the militiamen were not afraid and ran directly to Yinghua, who applied a little potion to them, and the plague toxins were removed. Qin has indeed come to the Scandinavian peninsula. Bai Pu smiled. These potions must have been developed by Qin collecting Bai Pu's blood to resist the plague toxins. At the beginning, Bai Pu donated 1,000 milliliters of blood for this and fell asleep for 4 hours on the spot. The potion can now be distributed to the militia, which shows how high the production is. As the one who prepared it, Qin must go to the battlefield in person. Of course, Bai Pu judged that Qin would come, and there were other key factors, so he didn't need to explain it to Blood Spider for the time being. This should be a good opportunity to connect with the Shinra Expeditionary Force. Do you want to go? Blood Spider asked in a low voice. No hurry. Bai Pu stared at the plague who were retreating one after another, with a calm expression. Just when the Shinra militia had the upper hand and killed several plague victims in succession, a heavy blood-colored figure suddenly strode out of a rather exquisite brick house on the west side of the farm. This is a Blood Ring Heavy Hammer. He is probably the owner of this farm and is responsible for giving orders to the plague victims. After all, the plague victims have almost no thinking ability, and it is not realistic to rely on them to manage a farm. This is Bai Pu's inference based on known intelligence. This farm must have at least one powerful deformed soldier in charge. As soon as the blood ring heavy hammer appeared, the balance of the battle was immediately changed. First, the farmer who turned against him shrank back, and then the blood ring heavy hammer roared, and the plague victims around him were covered with a layer of blood light. Obviously, they were blessed with some kind of enhanced state, and their movement speed and attack speed were greatly improved. Several militiamen were caught off guard by the sudden outbreak of the plague victims, bleeding profusely, and were about to die. Yinghua rushed over to put out the fire, but the blood ring hammerman sneered and swept past with a powerful spiked mace, forcing Yinghua to avoid it. Now is the time to show up. While Bai Pu was speaking, he had already shown up with a long sword. He strode towards the battle group and shouted, "Brother Yinghua, don't panic. I'm coming." Bai Pu threw a 9 chapters probe at the blood ring hammerman. Blood ring hammerman, level 4 elite, race, humanoid human, attributes, strength 35, agility 21, endurance 28, spirit 14, skills 1-5, command roar, continuous forging, heavy armor mastery. Bai Pu ran to the middle and directly launched the Windwalker to cut into the battlefield. He raised his hand and slashed, and the heads of the dead plaguers soared into the sky one by one. He really killed them with one step. The blood spider did not take action. According to the agreement between her and Bai Pu, she was mainly observing and learning this time. Unless Bai Pu asked her to help, she could not compete with Bai Pu for the kill contribution. Yinghua was overjoyed when he found out that it was his good brother Diofuli who came. Seeing that his good brother was so powerful, Yinghua was very calm. He waved his sword and shield and entangled with the blood ring heavy hammer. Now Yinghua was not in a hurry, and the blood ring heavy hammer was in a hurry to get away. "Brother Yinghua, you go take care of the wounded. Let me deal with this guy." Bai Pu quickly killed several dead plaguers, and pointed his longsword at the blood ring heavy hammer. His body shook slightly in a wave-like manner, and he had switched from keratin skin to fluid skeleton. The blood ring heavy hammer roared, swung the giant hammer, and smashed it on Bai Pu's head. This hammer actually gave a light and agile feeling, with implicit changes, which shows that the blood ring heavy hammer's combat expertise is not low. However, Bai Pu's two-handed swordsmanship has now reached level 5, limit breaker +1. It is not weaker than the blood ring heavy hammer warrior. Counting the two special effects seeking the wind and mountain collapse, it is even better. Bai Pu wanted to verify his own strength, and did not adopt a strong attack strategy of exchanging injuries for injuries, but confronted the giant hammer head-on. His long sword hit the hammer handle, and the powerful force burst out, instantly making the blood ring heavy hammer warrior's hammer lose its accuracy. This is the advantage brought by the powerful strength attribute. When the combat expertise is similar, it is undoubtedly easier for the party with stronger attributes to gain the upper hand. The blood ring heavy hammer warrior is a strength expert. His strongest strength cannot resist Bai Pu, let alone others. Bai Pu slashed with 2 consecutive swords, slashing the blood ring heavy hammer warrior back again and again, widening the flaw. Then he slashed diagonally with a knife, and slashed back, and at the same time, a blood-colored light was wrapped around the blade. Blood fighting spirit was injected, and the mountain collapse special effect was activated. After 2 loud tremors, there were 2 more horrible wounds on the chest of the blood ring heavy hammer. Although Bai Pu's 2 swords did not break the breastplate, the sharp key and the sharpness of the blood fighting spirit had already severely damaged it. The blood ring heavy hammer fell to his knees with a plop. Bai Pu held the sword with both hands and slashed horizontally. When the long sword touched the opponent's neck, the blood fighting spirit burst out again, and the collapse of the mountain special effect was activated again, directly cutting off half of the neck of the blood ring heavy hammer. A blue treasure chest appeared, and Bai Pu picked it up. After this battle, Bai Pu has confirmed his strength. After mastering the collapse of the mountain special effect, his explosive power has increased a lot. After 2 or 3 rounds of fighting, he can kill a level 4 elite. Of course, Bai Pu's blood fighting spirit has also been slightly consumed. At this time, there is still 70% to 80% left, and it is still relatively fast to recover. If there are multiple elite enemies, you must also pay attention to not over-consuming the blood fighting spirit. If the stock is too small, the blood fighting spirit will recover very slowly. Yinghua had already bandaged the injured militia. Seeing Bai Pu kill the blood ring hammerman, he was surprised and happy. He ran over and said, "Brother Dio, you have become stronger." Bai Pu smiled, but before he spoke, Yinghua noticed the farmers who had put down their hoes. He patted Bai Pu on the shoulder and said, "Brother Dio, let's talk later." The farmers looked a little uneasy. Legally speaking, these farmers were all subjects of the former king of Sweden and the current Blood Ring Emperor, and were also enemies of the Shinra Expeditionary Force. Out of anger, they turned against the Blood Ring soldiers who enslaved them, but it was still unknown how the Shinra Expeditionary Force would view them. Yingwa had really grown up a lot. He immediately stood on a mound and gave an impassioned speech to the farmers. "The Expeditionary Force is here to liberate Sweden. We are only targeting the monsters of the Blood Ring. We will not kill you, let alone rob you of your land. The merciful commander of the coalition forces, Duke William, has ordered that as long as you provide military supplies to the rebels on time, you will never be treated harshly. On the contrary, the rebels will protect you as long as you are still alive. If you want to join the rebels, we welcome you. Let us overthrow the brutal Gustav and rebuild our homeland together." This speech moved the farmers on the farm to tears. They had been looking forward to this day for too long. They raised their farm tools and cheered loudly. Chapter 157. So helpless, so scared. Brother Yinghua, I have long seen that you are not an ordinary militiaman, and you will become a great man sooner or later. Facts have proved that my vision is correct, Bai Pu said sincerely. Yinghua scratched his head a little embarrassedly. You are too kind, Brother Dio. I am still far behind you. By the way, where have you been during this period? Lord Qin said that you went to carry out a secret mission. It is a secret, so don't ask. Bai Pu said seriously. After I completed the mission, I heard that the expeditionary force had crossed the sea and attacked the Blood Ring mainland, so I came here by boat. By the way, where is Qin? Yinghua replied, we just captured Mama City recently, and Lord Qin is inspecting the alchemy laboratory in Mama. It is really Qin's style. Bai Pu smiled and said, please lead the way and take me to Mama City. Mama City. Alchemy laboratory. Qin, wearing an open-chested white coat and a black robe inside, walked between the living specimens with his hands in his pockets to inspect them. These living specimens are the research results of flesh and blood alchemy. In terms of flesh and blood alchemy, Blood Ring Fortress is definitely the best in the world. These specimens are far inferior to Dio. Qin sighed, it's been so long, and he hasn't come back once. Is it too difficult to enter this world, or has he forgot me? As an aboriginal who has realized the mystery of the world, Qin is one of the few people who know the truth of the world. She naturally knows that Bai Pu's departure is not for any mission, but to return to his own world. These low-value specimens should be cleared away. Qin suddenly stopped and looked at the specimens soaked in green liquid in front of her. The invisible mental scan spread gently like ripples and soon affected those specimens. Those specimens all have gorilla-like physiques. They are obviously deformed bodies with extra endurance. Qin reached into the black robe and pulled out a thin staff from her chest. She suddenly waved her hand, and a bloodlight shot out. Crash, crash, crash. Before Qin's attack was implemented, the three culture mediums in front of him exploded, and the huge bodies of the deformed people split apart, and three agile figures jumped out. Master Nightwing. According to the intelligence, this native named Qin is at the enhanced elite level. Her mental exploration should not be able to detect us. One of them had his chest pierced by blood, and he shouted in panic while holding his companion. Changnia was seriously injured and unconscious just by eating her instant blood magic. Damn. This woman is definitely not just the strength of the enhanced elite. She had her strength, and even my dark night vision couldn't see through it. The slender Nightwing, wearing a black cloak, looked extremely ugly. Above the enhanced elite, it is the leader. Although there is only a difference in templates, the strength of the leader is definitely not comparable to that of the enhanced elite. Enhanced elite. Qin said with a smile, so you use this term to measure my first identity. The eyes of the two awakened people who were still sober widened instantly. What's going on? She can understand our conversation, said the awakened one who was holding his companion. If the conversation between awakened ones involves content that may expose information from the real world, it will sound like nonsense to the natives of the spirit world, and may even be directly blocked by the will of the spirit world. This woman is a native who has understood the mystery of the world. Damn it, her strength may be more than just that of a leader. Nightwing acted decisively and suddenly broke through the window to escape. The ambush location he chose left a way out. This alchemy laboratory is the tallest building in Mama. This room is at the top of a tower that is 15 meters high. At this time, The expeditionary force has occupied Mama. If Nightwing jumps down like this, it is simply seeking death. Even if he doesn't die from the fall, the expeditionary soldiers who swarm in can capture him. However, Nightwing unfolded his cloak in midair, flapped it like a bat's wings, and glided quickly out of the city. Some soldiers of the expeditionary army shot arrows, trying to shoot through his cloak, but Nightwing was able to change direction in the air, and after a few turns, he landed on the high wall of Mama City with great ease, then jumped down and fled. At the moment when Nightwing broke through the window and fled, the awakened person holding his companion also reacted and hurriedly climbed up the window. Still want to run? Kin smiled softly, waved his magic wand lightly, and a blood-colored energy like smoke and fog extended out in circles, quietly wrapping around the man's ankle. The awakened person felt that his legs instantly lost consciousness, and a cold energy spread up along his calves. He put his hands on the window frame and wanted to jump down, but the cold energy had already flowed into his heart. Buzz, as if an invisible big hand had grasped his heart fiercely, the awakened person's face suddenly turned pale, and he fell softly to the ground. Take a nap. Kin flicked her fingernails lightly, and a hollow feather tube was inserted into the neck vein of the awakened person. The latter really obeyed and fell into deep sleep. Kin then called the guards to detain the two awakened ones who were in a coma. Dio, someone from the same world as you came to assassinate me. Kin's eyes flashed with excitement. Finally not so lonely, Dio. Mama City. Bai Pu finally saw Kin. Zuzu was relieved to see that Kin was safe and sound. But her brows frowned quietly, because she saw that Bai Pu and the beauty named Kin in front of him were hugging each other without any scruples. Their lips were touching, and their tongues were. Hey. You guys pay attention to the impact. Zuzu's face was slightly red, fortunately covered by the black mask. Kin, are you okay? Bai Pu tried to push back Kin's aggressive tongue tip, and asked while holding Kin's shoulder. Something happened. Kin looked up, feeling pitiful. I was assassinated, so helpless, so scared. Bai Pu pondered for a moment. How many people assassinated you? You didn't kill them all, did you? Bai Pu was not worried at all. What a joke. Kin was already a level 3 enhanced leader in the world area of Blood Plague origin. Now that she has come to the intermediate area of the Blood Plague world, her strength has risen, and she must be at least a level 6 enhanced leader, right? The overall strength of those awakeners who entered before Bai Pu is estimated to be only at the level of level 4 elites. At most, there is an enhanced elite. How can it pose a threat to Kin? Seeing that Bai Pu did not comfort herself, Kin also returned to her seriousness. There were 3 people in total, but unfortunately one ran away. The remaining 2 were captured by me and are locked up in the bottom cell of the alchemy tower. Kin said with a little boredom, it's a good thing that you are here, so you can interrogate them. Chapter 158. Who speaks first? The dim cell. The 2 awakened Superstar Alliance members were bound by spell chains and suppressed by Kin's special alchemical potion. They couldn't even move a finger at this time. You haven't been forced to leave yet. There must be no forced escape props. Bai Pu sat in front of the 2 people, leaning back in the chair, hugging his chest and said. The 2 awakened people were pale. In the intermediate spirit world, forced escape props are relatively rare, and the high-level ones that ignore the observation of the natives and do not require preparation time are even rarer. These 2 awakened people don't even have the most basic escape props. In other words, your life and death are now in my hands. I don't think you are tough guys, so just tell me the Superstar Alliance intelligence you should tell me. Remind you, I am a member of the Secret Service and have a lot of inside information. If you say something untrue, you will become Kin's experimental subjects. I remember that when you were trying to kill Kin, you seemed to like pretending to be a test subject. This is what you wanted. Bai Pu said the most frightening threat in the calmest tone. Blood Spider was riding furiously beside him. Kin sat on a small stool, resting on Bai Pu's thighs. Her plump breasts pressed against Bai Pu's knees, creating a seductive deformation. The 2 awakened people cursed in their hearts. Pretty boy. At the same time, they were filled with envy. Why wasn't the pretty boy me? The 2 of them would naturally not give in. It's not that they are loyal to the Superstar Alliance, but they are worried that Bai Pu will still kill them after getting the information. Bai Pu smiled calmly. If I kill you, I can only get 2 blood treasure chests at most, and I will also increase my blood value. What's the point of me gambling with the rags on your bodies? It's better to pay for your lives. The hope of life ignited in the eyes of the two people at the same time. The awakened person codenamed Cheng Niu asked, "How much do you want?" Bai Pu said, "In the last world, there was also an awakened person I caught. I think his name was Phantom. He was a level 3 ordinary template and paid more than 3,000 spiritual energy points to buy his life. You two are both level 4 elites. It's not too much for each of you to pay 40,000 points." "I don't have that much," the two said in unison. 40,000 points is not just a lion's mouth, but a python swallowing an elephant. The problem is that these two people don't have such a rich fortune. Bai Pu was well prepared and said, "In this way, you can provide me with intelligence. The key is the Superstar Alliance's deployment in this world, or the evidence of the Superstar Alliance's crimes. One piece of ordinary intelligence can offset 3,000 psychic points. If the value of the intelligence is high enough, it is not impossible to offset 10,000 psychic points." After a slight pause, Bai Pu used the last sentence to break through the two people's defense. "Repeated intelligence is invalid. Who'll speak first?" The two awakened people racked their brains and turned upside down the intelligence they knew about the Superstar Alliance. However, their status in the Superstar Alliance was not high, and most of the things they revealed were of no value. The truly valuable information was about Yinch and his two partners, but Bai Pu had collected most of them, so he could only verify them one by one at this time. Yinch and his two companions grew up step by step from low-level awakened people, and they had a deep relationship with each other. One of the companions was codenamed Nightwing and was a level 6 elite, the one who escaped. Nightwing did not team up with Hidden Snake, but led the team in alone. His goal was to assassinate Qin and destroy Bai Pu's job transfer mission. Nightwing has the ability to fly short distances and is good at the skill, leaping technique. It is said that he also has a powerful transformation ability, but the two have not had much contact and have never seen Nightwing use it. The other person, codenamed Golden Butterfly, is an awakened person with spiritual expertise and a professional illusionist. As for the evidence of the Superstar Alliance's crimes, it is impossible for the two to come into contact with substantial evidence. They just heard that the Superstar Alliance had a shady deal with a certain foreign force. After listening to the two, Bai Pu was sure that they had not concealed anything. After a little calculation in his brain, he came to a conclusion with a smile. "Cheng Niu, right? Your information is converted into 22,000 psychic points, and you still need to pay 18,000. And the Samar Iron Hook Worm, your information is of poor value and the repetition rate is too high. It can only be converted into 15,000 psychic points, and I still owe 25,000. The two awakened people begged in vain and could only choose to pay the psychic points. For the insufficient psychic points, they could only use props to pay off the debt. There is no way. Life and death are in the hands of others, and we can only let them do whatever they want. The phantom who bought his life from Bai Pu last time was familiar with Cheng Niu, so Cheng Niu knew Bai Pu's reputation, so he was more straightforward whether selling information or paying money. Another awakened person, Iron Hook Worm, suffered a loss due to hesitation and had to pay 7,000 more spiritual energy points. In the end, Bai Pu looted a total of 24,000 spiritual energy points from the two people. Among them, Cheng Niu contributed a full 18,000. According to Cheng Niu, this was accumulated in the real world, and he planned to take advantage of this spiritual world exploration to strengthen the equipment in the clearance settlement interface. An Iron Hook Worm was short of a gap of nearly 20,000 spiritual energy points. He reluctantly gave Bai Pu 2 drops of beeswax for equipment sealing. This prop can reseal unsealed blue and dark blue equipment, and can be used by awakened people after spiritual resonance. In terms of value, beeswax is difficult to define, but it should not exceed the value of a +5 blue outfit, and is worth at most 5,000 spiritual energy points. 2 drops of beeswax added together were not enough to fill the gap. Fortunately, Cheng Niu was quite loyal and took out a B-level enhancement card to help Iron Hook Worm make up for the loss. He had also thought it through. After this heavy bleeding, it would be a blessing to be able to return alive. Don't think about strengthening your equipment. The enhancement card will not be useful in the short term. The relationship between the two of you is quite good. Bai Pu also had a slight change of heart towards the awakeners of the Superstar Alliance. Can we leave now? Cheng Niu asked carefully. Before leaving, you have to sign a contract, and the will of the spirit world will notarize it. Bai Pu said, the content of the contract is that I will let you live, and you can't attack me or kin again in the world of blood plague, distortion. Otherwise, I can't let 2 future enemies go. With our strength, we shouldn't be a threat to you. Iron Hookworm was a little embarrassed. If he signed the contract, it would be easy to expose the fact that the 2 of them had succumbed to Bai Pu in the subsequent battles. Chang Yi wanted to kick him, and quickly said, sorry, he is confused. We sign, and we will pay for the notarization fee. Just let them go like this. Qin leaned on Bai Pu's thigh and looked up and asked, well, let them go. In fact, it is difficult for them to justify themselves. How did they escape from your hands? Bai Pu smiled. If they are good at speaking, maybe they can survive. I hope they can survive and return to the real world. After all, my reputation is so good, and their return to reality can also help me improve my reputation. Bai Pu did not kill the 2 people to get the bloody treasure chest. On the one hand, it was because the 2 were not criminals and did not have much blood value. On the other hand, killing people for treasure chests is not as profitable as squeezing out the money for buying lives. Well, after all, they are just 2 small characters, don't worry about them, just be happy. Aunt Qin was very considerate and looked at Bai Pu with a smile. You rarely come to see me, is it that there's any progress in that matter? I was just going to ask you to take a look. Bai Pu took out the body of the demon general hunting sickle from the storage space. Chapter 159 The Attacking Heart. Seeing the corpse of Li Jian, the teasing look on Qin's face disappeared instantly. She gently adjusted the hanging lens and took out a magnifying glass from the collar of her black robe. At this moment, she turned back into the noble and intellectual scholar, the court advisor of Brandon. What a magical structure! This corpse is obviously also a human deformation, but the principle of deformation is completely different from the blood and flesh curse contained in the cursed meteorite. It seems to be from the inside out of control at the mental level, combined with some dark energy source, resulting in mutation. There was a trace of surprise on the face of Blood Spider. Obviously he did not expect Qin to have such knowledge. Mental loss of control is actually the will of the ghost warrior defeated by the demon weapon. The dark energy source is naturally the supernatural energy unique to the world of the inner demon, demonic energy. What Qin said is the process of the ghost warrior's fall into the devil, which is the origin of the demon general Li Jian. Bai Pu said helplessly, Qin, the point is not the body itself, but what is hidden in its stomach. As he spoke, Bai Pu wiped his belt with his palm, and a sharp long knife appeared. He swung the knife to cut open the swollen belly of the hunting sickle, and with the tip of the knife, the small and transparent original heart tissue was suspended in the air. The original heart tissue was like a gem, and the dirty blood on it rolled down automatically and could not be retained at all. The moment Qin saw this heart tissue, he lost his mind. What a beautiful heart! After a while, Qin sighed and exclaimed. Bai Pu handed the experimental records on the living tissue of the original heart in different biological environments to Qin. Qin carefully looked through the experimental records, with unprecedented excitement and expectation in his eyes, and looked at Bai Pu. You brought this heart to me, do you want to transplant it? Bai Pu nodded and said generously, after the transplant is successful, the gap between you and me should be further narrowed. I just don't know if I can fulfill the agreement with you. Qin smiled slightly and said, in fact, I have a way to fulfill the agreement 100%, but it is a bit difficult. I don't know if you can do it. Tell me about it. Bai Pu was refreshed. Blood Spider was taking notes diligently beside him. Although she was a little slow, she also knew that the conversation between Bai Pu and Qin was not meaningless. They were trying to increase the difficulty of the job transfer task. Only with high difficulty can there be high rewards. Especially for the job transfer task, the higher the difficulty, the better the template of the final reward. Qin said seriously, do you still remember the story I told you about Princess Christina? I remember that she was the mother of the blood and flesh plague curse. Bai Pu said. She also has a heart tissue of similar size in her body. Qin said, this magical heart tissue has the property of fusion. As long as you can go to the Blood Ring Fortress and rescue Christina, I can take out the original heart tissue in her body, fuse it with your heart tissue, and transplant it into your body. Fusion of 2 pieces of heart tissue? Bai Pu nodded, it is indeed a good way to make my strength catch up with yours. However, transplanting 2 pieces of heart tissue should be more difficult. Bai Pu is also proficient in blood and flesh alchemy and can be regarded as a half-expert. He naturally knows the danger. Qin nodded and said, so, you still need to obtain some powerful deformer samples for my reference. It would be best to kidnap someone who is proficient in blood and flesh alchemy from the Blood Ring Fortress to be my assistant. As Qin spoke, Bai Pu received a reminder message from the will of the spirit world. Your second job transfer task, attacking heart, has been triggered. Mission, Attack of the Heart. Mission Objective 1, optional. Obtain the original heart tissue in Princess Christina. Completion plus 50%. Mission Objective 2, optional. Obtain up to 3 samples of the deformer. Each sample obtained, the completion is up to plus 10%. Mission Objective 3, optional. Obtain the help of 2 flesh and blood alchemy scholars. Each scholar's help, the completion is up to plus 10%. Mission Difficulty, SS. Mission Deadline, 15 days. Completion Reward, Second Job Transfer Template Promotion. Failure Penalty, none. Mission Tips, you need to obtain at least 60% completion to complete this job transfer task. Current task progress, 10%. You have obtained the help of a flesh and blood alchemy scholar. SS level job transfer task difficulty. Bai Pu felt excited and his lips were a little dry. If the job transfer is successful, the result will definitely be a template that exceeds the ordinary hero profession. The difficulty of SS level tasks is indeed amazingly high. Bai Pu simply read the task requirements and knew that the first task goal, obtaining the original heart tissue in Princess Christina's body, seemed optional, but in fact it was an inevitable option. Because the total completion must be above 60% to be considered completed, and the first task goal alone accounts for 50% of the completion ratio. Failure to complete the first goal means the failure of the entire job transfer task. Princess Christina is the lifeblood of the entire Blood Ring Fortress and the host and mother of all the deformed. Even if the Blood Ring Emperor Gustav has no family affection for this daughter, he must regard her as more important than his life. To seize the original heart in Princess Christina's body is almost as difficult as killing the Blood Ring Emperor Gustav. Bai Pu is not sure whether he can complete this task, so he can only try his best. Fortunately, according to Qin Yishi's statement, there should be a simpler route to complete the job transfer task, that is, without considering the other original heart tissue in Princess Christina's body, directly transfer with the original heart tissue that Bai Pu has currently obtained. In this case, the difficulty of the job transfer task will definitely drop sharply. Bai Pu estimated that it would be difficult to be promoted to hero class, not to mention getting a strong class in the hero template. The simple route can only be used as a backup. Bai Pu decided to give it a try. He asked, where can I find samples of powerful aberrations? What level of aberrations can meet your requirements? Qin said, I once told you that among the first generation of aberrations, there are several particularly powerful guys, such as the Grand Duke of Bergen, the Blood Mist Butcher, and the Scarlet Wing. They must meet the requirements. If you can't deal with them, you can change to a slightly weaker aberration, such as the General of the Blood Ring Fortress, a figure like Column. Bai Pu smiled bitterly. Who is Column? The commander of the Blood Ring Vanguard. The total boss of the camp in the first act. I didn't expect that in the world of Blood Plague, Aberration, he was not even qualified to be a sample. The requirement for Mission Objective 2, optional, is to collect 3 samples, and each sample will increase the completion rate by at most 10%. Bai Pu guessed what Dukin meant. If he killed Grand Duke Bergen, Blood Mist Butcher, and Scarlet Wing, the 3 samples he obtained would definitely have the maximum 10% completion bonus. If he took a step back and killed a Blood Ring General like Column, the sample completion bonus he obtained might only be 7% or 8%. Chapter 160, First Legion Commander's Wag. The final Mission Objective 3, optional, is to obtain the help of 2 flesh and blood alchemy scholars, each of whom can provide a maximum 10% completion bonus. Bai Pu already has Qin, and Qin's attainments in flesh and blood alchemy are indeed extremely high. As one of the 2 scholars, she provides the maximum 10% completion. But Bai Pu still has to find another flesh and blood alchemy scholar of the same level as Qin. The hidden difficulty here is incredibly high, because such a flesh and blood alchemy scholar can only exist in one place, the Royal Court of the Blood Ring. Originally, Brandenburg also had a court mage named Jiolan, who was proficient in some knowledge of flesh and blood alchemy, but Jiolan's attainments were not high and could not be compared with Qin. Moreover, the court mage Jiolan did not go with the army this time. Where should I go to find flesh and blood alchemy scholars? How should I judge their level? Bai Pu asked. Qin said, according to intelligence, Princess Christina has been imprisoned in the Royal Alchemy Academy. Dean William Harvey is a master of flesh and blood alchemy, and he fully meets the requirements. Bai Pu frowned and said, even if I find Dean Harvey, he probably won't obey. How can I ensure that he won't do anything when transplanting the heart? Strictly speaking, this is part of the difficulty of Bai Pu's task, and it's useless to complain to the task issuer, Qin. Just like the task of changing the hidden secondary profession, the task requirement of hunting the mother of the river crocodile, finding the mother of the river crocodile is part of the difficulty of the task. It is impossible for Bai Pu to get extra help from Taoist Zilking. But what is the relationship between Bai Pu and Qin? It is a close relationship where you know my strengths and weaknesses, and I know your depths, so he can get more help from Qin. The key is that Qin's hidden identity makes Bai Pu feel that there is great potential to be tapped. After hearing Bai Pu's concerns, Qin did not respond coldly like Taoist Zilking, but smiled and said, don't worry, Dio. You just need to politely invite Harvey to me, and I will convince him. After Bai Pu accepted the job transfer task, Qin went to study the experimental records obtained from the Superstar Alliance. 10% completion rate does not mean that Qin can achieve it by standing in front of the operating table and doing nothing. This is the spirit world, not a game. She also has to do her best to prepare to achieve 10% completion rate. If Qin is not careful, the completion rate may be too low to look at. That's why Bai Pu thinks that getting help from the scholar of flesh and blood alchemy is a very difficult option, because the other party must be willing to help Bai Pu with a transplant surgery. Fortunately, Qin is here. Blood Spider's little notebook stopped at some point. Are you too careless? Blood Spider said to Bai Pu softly, this is SS level difficulty. I have never seen this level of difficulty. Relax, this is the first time I've seen it too. Bai Pu said. Are you sure you can complete it? Blood Spider asked in a low voice. In fact, it's a good thing that this task has multiple branches. Bai Pu said calmly, this is equivalent to splitting the SS difficulty job transfer task into multiple modules. Obtaining Princess Christina's original heart tissue should be S+ level if viewed alone. The 3 first-generation mutants that need to be eliminated are all in different areas, and the difficulty of killing each of them should be S level. Finally, looking for the help of the scholar, and the help of Qin, reduced some of the difficulty. I estimate it is also around S level. So, this is equivalent to a task group that combines one S+ task and multiple S tasks. Although the difficulty is high, as long as there is enough endurance, and you do it step by step, there will always be a time to break out of the cocoon and become a butterfly. Bai Pu was wary of Blood Spider at first, but now his vigilance has faded a lot. The reason is simple, the predecessor, goddess of Wushan, has given too much. Blood Spider said, don't forget that there are awakened people from the Superstar Alliance who will make trouble for you. If you take into account the X factor of the Superstar Alliance, the actual difficulty of this task will only be higher. Bai Pu raised his eyes and glanced at Blood Spider. Why do I feel that you talk a lot more than when we first met? Blood Spider's breath stagnated and turned his head away. The conversation between the two came to an abrupt end. Bai Pu coughed lightly and said, the appearance of the awakened people from the Superstar Alliance has actually helped me reduce the difficulty. Otherwise, do you think I would have met the militia led by Yinghua so smoothly, and then found Qin when I first entered the world? My entry point is the compensation made by the will of the spirit world in secret. Blood Spider did not speak again, but took out a small notebook and wrote it down. That night, Bai Pu met Adjutant Zweig, who returned from patrolling the city. At this time, Adjutant Zweig was already a template for a level 6 leader. Zweig was already a level 3 enhanced elite in the world of Blood Plague Origin. It was normal for him to be promoted to level 6 enhanced elite in the world of Blood Plague Distortion. However, the leap from enhanced elite to leader template is due to the improvement of Adjutant Zweig's status in the world of Flesh Plague Distortion. He is the adjutant of Duke William, and he has become the 1st Legion commander in the Shinra Expeditionary Force. As part of the world's beacon, the improvement of the title, status, etc. of the indigenous people in the world will also cause the evolution of strength and even templates. Adjutant Zweig, now the commander of the Zweig Legion, it is normal for him to be promoted to the leader template. When he saw Bai Pu, Commander Zweig did not put on a high-handed attitude. Because he knew that Duke William attached great importance to this weak young man. This attention did not come from strength, but from Bai Pu's wisdom and keen strategic vision. It was Bai Pu who analyzed the hidden location of the Bloodhand Column's flagship, which allowed the Brandon resistance to eliminate the Blood Ring vanguard in time and win the initiative in this war. According to Corps Commanders WAG, they are the advanced troops, and the second main force of the Shinra Expeditionary Force led by Duke William is on the way across the sea and is expected to arrive within 3 days. During these 3 days, has Lord Zweig ever thought of taking the initiative to attack? Bai Pu asked. Zweig shook his head. My mission is to capture Mama and win a place for the main force to rest after crossing the sea. Now my mission has been completed, there is no need to create any more complications. Blood Spider frowned slightly. In her opinion, to trigger the main task, it may take until the main force of Duke William arrives. Bai Pu smiled and said, Lord Zweig, first of all, congratulations on your excellent completion of the task assigned to you by Lord Duke. However, if you can send people to collect detailed intelligence on the enemy and eliminate the enemy's small-scale strongholds before Lord Duke leads the main force to arrive, I believe Lord Duke will trust you more. Zweig attached great importance to Bai Pu's opinion and immediately thought deeply. Then, he looked up and said, You are right, Dio. Mastering detailed pre-war intelligence can shorten the army's preparation time before the attack. But I am not staying here for nothing. I want to eliminate the unstable factors in Mama and guard this city. So can the task of collecting intelligence be handed over to you? Zweig decided to guard the city of Mama because Qin was assassinated. Zweig regarded this incident as the work of the remnants of the Blood Ring in Mama. If someone dares to assassinate the Duke William when his army arrives, Zweig will have to take the blame first, regardless of whether it will succeed. Bai Pu has received a reminder message from the Will of the Spirit World. Main task Step 1. The Expeditionary Scout is activated. He accepted the task with a smile and said, Don't worry, leave it to me. Chapter 161, Eating from the Inside Out. Main Quest 1, Scouts of the Expeditionary Force. Quest Objective, Explore the Blood Ring Empire's native Skaon, Karsk, Kalmar and other regions, and draw a distribution map of the Blood Ring's military strength. Quest Deadline. 72 hours. Quest Difficulty, Unknown. Quest Reward. 100-300 points of merit in the Brandon faction, depending on the completion rate. Failure penalty, none. After receiving this task, Bai Pu also received a reminder from the Will of the Spirit World. Based on your historical performance in the Shinra Expeditionary Force Camp, formerly the Brandon Rebels Camp, you have gained the trust of the 1st Legion Commanders WAG. You can dispatch the Expeditionary Force's scouts to a limited extent to assist you in completing this task. Blood Spider also received this task, but she did not receive the same reminder as Bai Pu, which means that she has no right to mobilize the Expeditionary Force's scouts. When assembling the scout team, Bai Pu opened the blue treasure chest obtained from the Blood Ring Heavy Hammer. Bai Pu originally had no hope, but unexpectedly, this blue treasure chest actually produced a blue wristband with +4 strength. Although Bai Pu could not use it, it was a good thing to have a blue suit, which could be used as auxiliary equipment to burn when strengthening gold equipment. Bai Pu put away the wristband, walked out the door, and looked at the scouts who had gathered. There were more than 20 scouts as the vanguard of the expedition. Among these people, there were elite templates, but more were ordinary templates. Basically all of them were agile specialty types, with at least one skill of hiding or speeding up movement speed. Originally, Bai Pu thought he was going to establish his authority or something. After all, he was a stranger in the expedition. But when the scout team was gathering, there was a scout soldier who knew Bai Pu, and whispered to others that this was the lover of Lord Qin, the warrior who followed a Lord to fight against Bloodhand Column and seized the Pioneer. This series of achievements made the surface attitudes of these scouts much more respectful. Of course, judging from their expressions, the identity of Lord Qin's lover is probably the most enviable. After all, the dream of conquering a noble and intellectual beauty like Qin must have been thought of by these low-level scouts. Bai Pu checked and found that his reputation in the Shinra Expeditionary Force was actually at the respect level, 1042, 3000. It seems that the reputation he had accumulated in the Brandon Rebel Army was inherited by word of mouth to the Shinra Expeditionary Force. This is convenient. Bai Pu said in a deep voice, the main force of the Duke will arrive in 3 days. During this time, we must thoroughly check all areas around Mama to ensure that there are no blind blood ring monsters that will cause any impact on the main army. You will be organized into teams to explore the 3 areas of Skaon, Karsk, and Kalmar, and bring me detailed topographic maps and enemy intelligence. Dozens of scouts agreed sparsely. In a foreign territory, especially a territory like the Blood Ring Empire that is full of deformed monsters. The risk factor of carrying out an exploration mission must be very high, and you will die if you are not careful. It's no wonder that these scouts are lazy. Most of them are just trying to slack off. Ding dong. The pleasant sound of precious metals colliding made the scout's eyes pop up. In Bai Pu's hand, several beautifully cast silver ingots appeared. He gently tossed the silver ingots, letting these snow-white silver blocks collide in his palm, and said calmly, "There are several powerful distorted monsters, which are the focus of this intelligence gathering. Their names are Grand Duke Bergen, Blood Mist Butcher and Scarlet Wings. If you can find the traces of these distorted monsters, or distorted monsters that are equally powerful, you can come to me. I will give you a generous reward." As he spoke, Bai Pu put away the refined silver ingots. The group of scouts finally got motivated. Bai Pu divided them into 3 teams, and after a few instructions, he waved his hand and ordered them to leave. Blood Spider looked over with admiration, and at the same time wrote down the 4 words of "use public power for personal gain" in his small notebook. These scouts were originally temporarily assigned to me to complete the main task 1. It would be a waste if they were not used. Bai Pu explained, "I can't let them directly participate in the battle and face the deformed monsters, because I can only dispatch them to a limited extent. But it is definitely possible to collect intelligence on a few deformed monsters. Eliminating powerful deformed monsters is also eliminating unstable factors, which can't be considered abusing public power for personal gain." Blood Spider looked at Bai Pu with a perverted look. "How do you know what I wrote? Do you have the skill of peeping?" Bai Pu said, "I'm not that boring, but next time you say bad things about me, just don't let me see the pen." Bai Pu's observation is very meticulous. From the shaking traces of Blood Spider's pen, he knew what she wrote. Blood Spider opened his eyes wide and looked at Bai Pu with the eyes of a more terrifying pervert. Of course, the 2 perverts have different meanings. Beep beep beep. The vibration came, and Bai Pu's expression changed slightly. He took out a brand new walkie-talkie from the storage space. Walkie-talkie, 1, B-level props, can be used for spiritual communication. Each use will consume the battery life of the walkie-talkie. The farther the distance and the longer the call time, the greater the consumption. Current remaining service life: 10 minutes. This is the prop that Kwang Chan gave to Bai Pu. The 2 pairs of walkie-talkies are unique props obtained from the world of silicon-based fire seed. They can communicate remotely in the spiritual plane and have extraordinary strategic significance. The other walkie-talkie was obviously in Kwang Chan's hand. After Bai Pu answered the call, after a rustling sound of electricity, Kwang Chan's voice rang out, "I'm here." Behind me, there are 2 groups of people queuing. 2 groups? Bai Pu was a little surprised. One of the groups should be the Hidden Snake team. What about the other group? Kwang Chan is a level 4 hero, and he has 2 teammates, who are conservatively estimated to be level 6 elites. For such a team, the strength rating is already quite high in the intermediate spirit world. The team that ranks behind Kwang Chan and has not yet joined, the strength rating of the spirit world will must be above Kwang Chan's team, which should be relatively rare. It seems to be our acquaintance. Kwang Chan's voice showed a slight fluctuation, as if helpless. "I'm not sure, but it looks like the one from the Zhou family, Overlord. Okay. Maybe it's a coincidence." Bai Pu sighed lightly. Overlord, who possesses the Feng Bian Huiji, fake, is apparently stronger than Kwang Chan. His team's participation in the world of Flesh Plague, Aberration, will undoubtedly make things more complicated. Bai Pu paid close attention at the time, but did not find Overlord's team. It was obvious that Overlord's team was disguised, and Kwang Chan was more familiar with Overlord, and finally recognized them when there were fewer people at the end. Kwang Chan said, "Let's not talk about him first. Which camp did you choose?" "Shinra Expeditionary Force." Bai Pu did not shy away. "What about you? Which one are you going to choose?" Kwang Chan said, "I'll choose Bleeding Fortress. This is my first time entering the world of the Flesh Plague series, and it doesn't matter which camp I choose. It's more convenient to obtain information about your job transfer mission in the enemy camp." "Okay." Bai Pu thought so too. The 2 agreed to talk next time, and then Bai Pu pressed the button on the intercom. At this time, Zuzu was writing down the 4 words "eating inside and outside" in his little notebook. In fact, it would be more appropriate to change it to "inside and outside cooperation." Bai Pu held his forehead. "I'm afraid you failed the Chinese language test in elementary school." Chapter 162 5 Outstretched Fingers. Awakeners belonging to the same team join different indigenous camps and communicate with each other to gain benefits. This is already a basic operation of the awakened team. In the world of inner demon, oath, Bai Pu used a similar method. He transformed the first demon he met, the demon spider, into a slave in order to obtain precious intelligence from the demon camp. Hearing Bai Pu belittle his Chinese level, Blood Spider stared at Bai Pu with an angry look. It's best for me to do the job transfer task alone. If multiple awakened people participate, it will lower my task completion evaluation. Bai Pu ignored Blood Spider and said to himself, if you have nowhere to go, follow the scout team to collect intelligence and draw maps. After all, this is the main task of the first stage. Blood Spider had no objection to this. According to the information about Blood Spider's behavior pattern provided by Wuxian Goddess, Bai Pu knew very well that Blood Spider's favorite thing to do was the main task. In dozens of explorations in the spirit world, Blood Spider has accumulated rich experience in the main task. Her style of exploring the spirit world has always been to go straight to the main line. After the free exploration time of the main task, Blood Spider will not try to trigger any side quests, but find a place with many monsters and quietly kill monsters until the free exploration time is exhausted. While the scouts were gathering intelligence, Bai Pu devoted himself to the liberation of the oppressed people of the Blood Ring Empire. Relying on the existing intelligence, he drew a simple map, and after silently calculating, he was able to estimate his approximate route. Along the way, he would encounter farms of the Blood Ring Empire. Every time Bai Pu arrived at a farm, he would mobilize the enslaved Blood Ring people to rise up in rebellion. The means of launching were simple. Bai Pu used thundering means to kill the owner of the farm, usually an elite soldier of the Blood Ring, such as a Blood Ring Heavy Hammer or a Blood Ring Heavy Swordsman. The Blood Ring Heavy Swordsman is also an elite template, generally one level higher than the Blood Ring Heavy Hammer, and is obviously stronger. But with Bai Pu's current strength, there is almost no difference between a level 4 elite and a level 5 elite. Although the greatsword of the Blood Ring Heavy Swordsman is powerful, it is powerless in front of the Spider Shield. Another ability of the Spider Shield, Devouring Strengthening, plays a powerful role in endurance. The durability lost in each battle can be restored by devouring the enemy's corpse, and it will have an additional strengthening effect. For example, after the corpse of the Blood Ring Heavy Hammerman is devoured by the Spider Shield, the Spider Shield will gain a strengthening effect of +4 strength. The corpse of the Blood Ring Heavy Swordsman will provide +3 strength and +3 agility. After Bai Pu killed the elite soldiers guarding the farm, the enslaved Blood Ring people saw the strong reinforcement and would rise up one after another to kill the Death Plague supervisors. In fact, they had no choice, because the Death Plague supervisors were able to restrain their bloodthirsty instincts and not bite the delicious flesh and blood in front of them, all thanks to the command of the Blood Ring elite soldiers. After the elite soldiers were killed, the Death Plague supervisors went out of control and attacked all flesh and blood life madly. After killing the deformed soldiers and the plague-killing supervisors, the farmers had nowhere to go. They could only follow the route provided by Bai Pu, transport all the food in the farms, and head towards Mama City. In one day and one night, Bai Pu cleared 5 Blood Ring farms. He also obtained 5 blue treasure chests. As for the white treasure chests, there were also some, but Bai Pu usually opened them on the spot, and usually got sundries, as well as some white quality materials, such as tattered hardened bones, dirty phosphated leather, corrupted blood, etc. Bai Pu kept the white materials, which could be used to practice his secondary profession. The sundries could only be sold to obtain dozens or hundreds of psychic points. During the rest period, Bai Pu opened 5 blue treasure chests. These 5 treasure chests provided Bai Pu with a total of more than 2,000 psychic points, and each treasure chest was a chance to draw, and only 5 undervalued cards could be excluded. Bai Pu clicked them one by one without hesitation. 4 of these 5 treasure chests actually produced blue equipment. This luck is quite good. Although there are 3 blue items that are not useful, these blue items from the trophy are very useful for equipment enhancement and can save a lot of energy points. One of the blue items that can be used is a pair of spiked iron boots. They feel a little heavy and thick, and are lined with suede, which is quite warm and comfortable. The attributes of this pair of iron boots are +2 strength and +2 endurance. Needless to say, the 4 points of movement speed bonus attached to the footwear equipment also have a passive effect of kick damage +10 points, which is better than the pair of sea leather boots on Bai Pu's feet. Bai Pu's Heavy Armor Mastery passive requires wearing this heavy armor equipment. Heavy Armor Mastery will only take effect when the main body is wearing heavy armor. The more heavy armor you wear, the better the effect of Heavy Armor Mastery. When the whole body is wearing heavy armor, the effect of Heavy Armor Mastery will reach its peak. However, Bai Pu did not plan to change it for the time being, because the sea leather boots had been strengthened to +4, and had a +4 special effect for sprinting, which could increase the explosive sprinting speed. For Bai Pu, it was still very precious. So he put away this pair of iron plate boots for the time being. A lucky bag was drawn from the last blue treasure chest. The lucky bag was opened, triggering a quadruple lucky crit, providing Bai Pu with 2068 psychic points. Bai Pu thought it was gone, but he found that the last treasure chest did not turn into psychic particles and dissipate. He fished in it and took out a booklet, and then the treasure chest turned into psychic particles and dissipated. You have obtained the observation log of the Eyster District, Blood Mist Butcher. This item will definitely drop. The observation log of the Blood Mist Butcher? Bai Pu was refreshed. This was one of the particularly powerful deformed monsters that he needed to deal with in his job transfer mission. He flipped through it, thought about it for a few seconds, and had a plan in mind. No wonder, I feel that the geographical location of these 5 farms is too coincidental, like 5 fingers stretched out. It turns out that these farms all belong to the Eyster District. Bai Pu narrowed his eyes. He didn't need to look at the map. After a day and a night of adventure, he naturally generated a 3-dimensional map in his mind that was more accurate than the physical map. If you think of the 5 fingers stretched out as a palm, then there must be a large blood ring town equivalent to a wrist, which governs these 5 farms. This town must be Eyster Town. Taking into account the direction of the terrain, the path of the river, the distribution of the roads and other parameter corrections, this stronghold should be about 20 degrees northeast of the map, and the deviation will not exceed 2 degrees. If the blood spider was around, he would definitely look at him as if he were a big pervert. Fortunately, the blood spider was sent away. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 163 Spirit World War. Bai Pu rode on a brown Swedish warmblood horse. The horse was large and strong enough to carry Bai Pu's weight of more than 200 kilograms with helmet and armor, and ran with white mist all the way. This horse was seized from the stables in Mama City and was a special horse for the Knights of the Blood Ring. In the 17th century, the Swedes imported Spanish horses and Dutch Frisian horses to Sweden and bred them with their own short and irritable mares in the hope of obtaining an improved horse breed. This kind of improvement usually takes 100 or 200 years, at least several generations of efforts, to be effective. However, with the blood-red meteorites falling from the sky and the spread of the flesh and blood curse, the Blood Ring Fortress rose strongly, and the Royal Alchemy Academy was established. Under the order of the Blood Ring Emperor Gustav, scholars turned their research attention to horses. After the addition of flesh and blood alchemy, the Swedish warmblood horse came into being. This improved horse has stronger strength and endurance than any other precious horse breed in the past. Of course, its disadvantages are also obvious, that is, its appetite increases greatly, and its food intake is more than 3 times that of ordinary military horses, and a certain amount of blood must be added to its drinking water. Bai Pu has never practiced riding skills at all, but he has a strong attribute suppression. Just learning some riding essentials is enough to control this horse. After a day and a night of horseback raids, Bai Pu's riding skills have also been steadily climbing, and now it has reached the basic level 3. If Bai Pu can fight with a long-handled weapon while riding, his riding skills will definitely improve faster, but the conditions are not yet met. He can only use the warhorse as a vehicle and dismount and fight on foot every time he arrives at a location. After running for half an hour, the outline of a large village can be seen in the mist ahead. Bai Pu dismounted in advance, tied the horse to an ash tree, and strode towards the village. Suddenly, Bai Pu's eyes narrowed, and he saw the fire. Outside the village, there was a circle of farmers' straw sheds, and at this time, a blazing fire had been burning. It was winter, the weather was dry, and the fire spread rapidly. Bai Pu ran quickly and came to the village. His mental detection ability at this time had expanded a lot as his mental attribute reached 24 points. In particular, the mental power turned into a thin line, and the extension distance had exceeded 50 meters. Bai Pu turned on the range detection, and the movement within 30 meters nearby was within his perception. However, Bai Pu only felt quiet, and there was no living person. In the frozen streets, there were 2 corpses of dead plague supervisors. Bai Pu observed and soon found that the 2 dead plague supervisors died miserably. Their abdomens were violently cut open, and the rotten and dry blood mixed with filthy intestines and organs were scattered all over the ground, and the whips used for supervision in their hands had not been removed. This is a sudden attack in a very short period of time. Bai Pu made a judgment, because the main attack method of the dead plague was to use the claws contaminated with toxins to tear the living body, causing an infection similar to corpse poison. This toxin is more terrible than the claw attack of the dead plague itself. The reason why the Shinra Expeditionary Army was able to win victory after victory was actually due in large part to the antibody antidote developed by Qin based on Bai Pu's blood. The whips of the dead plague can only deal with ordinary farmers. Facing the enemy, they didn't even have time to throw away the whips, so you can imagine how fierce and domineering the enemy was. Suddenly, the prompt of the spirit world's will came. Warning, warning. The invasion of the alien space-time force was detected. Based on your strength, you have been temporarily recruited and forced to participate in the spirit world war. The honor system and rank system are turned on. The scavenger mission is triggered. Scavenger mission, clear the alien space-time node. Mission objective, go to the flesh and blood factory in Oyster Town and clear the alien space-time node. Mission difficulty, unknown. Mission deadline, 120 minutes. Mission reward, Black Iron Medal 1. For each alien walker killed, you will receive the corresponding owner value. Failure penalty, none. The spirit world war is coming. Bai Pu did not act rashly. He continued to walk towards the burning center of the village. He scanned with his mental power and felt several humanoid objects lying on the ground in a house on the left side of the road. Bai Pu broke through the burning door and found a family lying on the ground. The adult male in the family wore a white coat, a monocle and a stethoscope. He looked like a doctor. He was first killed on the ground closest to the door. From the shoulder to the hip, he was almost split in two. Bai Pu covered his forehead, and his brain worked naturally, simulating the course of the tragedy. This should be a doctor's family. The father was the doctor lying on the ground, and the mother and child hid behind the father when the enemy attacked. The father bravely rushed forward for his family and was hacked to death on the spot. The mother blocked her little daughter behind her and kept retreating until she reached the corner of the wall, and then a chair leg that flew through the air pierced her abdomen, and the little girl's head was also shattered. Bai Pu found that the mother was not dead yet, and seemed to be still breathing. However, the time of death had reached the final countdown. Bai Pu stepped forward quickly and asked in a deep voice, "Who did it? Monster. Devil. Fish-like monster." The mother's lips moved, and she looked up at Bai Pu, with a glimmer of hope in her eyes. Save my daughter." Bai Pu was silent for a few seconds, and after she died, he gently closed her eyes. "I can't save your daughter, but I can avenge you. I will do it within my ability." Bai Pu's chest seemed to be burning with fire. He took a deep breath, let his reason take over again, and added the second half of the sentence. He thought for a while, and took out the B-level prop, the walkie-talkie. He pressed the button, and after a hissing sound, the voice of Kwang Cham came, accompanied by the faint sound of whistling wind. "I am marching, according to the requirements of the Blood Ring Camp's main mission, capturing wild deformers, applying the Blood Ring curse, and incorporating them into the deformer army." "How are you doing?" Bai Pu said. "I am also doing the main mission, drawing maps. Apart from anything else, I have received a scavenger mission to clear the alien space-time node." Kwang Chan's voice suddenly rose several degrees. "Really? You are so lucky." Bai Pu said lightly, "Don't envy me. This alien space-time node fell within the territory of the Blood Ring Camp. It is estimated that the Blood Ring Camp will soon release related tasks. The location is the Flesh and Blood Factory in Oyster Town. Come quickly to seize the opportunity in advance." "Great, I'm not far away. Thank you." Kwang Chan thanked briefly and ended the communication. Going out, turning left, Bai Pu ran hard. On the way, Bai Pu saw more corpses of dead plague, and even 2 blood ring heavy hammers died on the side of the road. The corpses were a little incomplete, as if they had been gnawed. Chapter 164, Crazy Rhino Lutz. The Flesh Factory is a characteristic building of the Bleeding Ring Empire. The aberrant army of the Bleeding Ring Fortress, based on the instinct of evolution, craves the flesh and blood of the living. The aberrants are all big eaters. If the aberrant army is allowed to eat, the ordinary people at the bottom will definitely not be enough for them to eat. At most, in 1 or 2 years, the entire Scandinavian peninsula will be eaten up. By then, the aberrants will lose their source of flesh and blood, and they will also be doomed. The Bleeding Ring Emperor Gustav is a monarch with great talent and strategy. Gustav's reputation in real history is much greater than that of Duke William. He single-handedly established a great empire across the Baltic Sea and was known as the Lion of the North. In the Flesh Plague series of worlds that evolved from supernatural elements in real history, Gustav is naturally also a hegemon. As early as when he established a Bleeding Ring Fortress, he had already realized the importance of sustainable development and strictly restricted the aberrant soldiers at the bottom, not to devour ordinary people at will. He ordered the Royal Alchemy Academy to use food to refine simulated flesh and blood. It sounds a bit far-fetched, but in fact, there is plant meat in later generations. It uses plant protein from crops such as soybeans, peas, and wheat as raw materials, and takes a series of separation and extraction processing steps to make plant meat have the taste of animal meat. Although Sweden in the 17th century did not have the technological level of later generations, the development of the blood alchemy discipline in the Blood Ring Empire was unique in the world, and blood alchemy has a natural advantage in this research. You must know that this is a world with supernatural powers. Alchemy can even turn stone into gold. It is not difficult for the emerging blood alchemy to make simulated flesh and blood. The factory that makes simulated flesh and blood is called the Flesh and Blood Factory. Carts of grain raw materials transported from various farms enter the Flesh and Blood Factory, and cans of fresh simulated flesh and blood become military rations and are transported to each former army. Of course, simulated flesh and blood cannot replace real flesh and blood after all, nor can it satisfy the bloodthirsty desire of the Blood Ring deformers. The Blood Ring Empire only used the binding force of the Blood Ring curse to restrain the bloodthirsty desire of the deformed army. This desire is like a flood. Once it accumulates for a long time, it will break the dam and burst into violent destructive power. Therefore, the Blood Ring Empire is constantly fighting and wreaking havoc on the enemy's territory. In the country of the Norwegians in the western border and the territory of the Slavs in the east, it has left a legend of brutality and ruthlessness. Bai Pu came to the Flesh and Blood Factory in Ystad town and found that the Blood Ring Death Plague squad guarding the gate had been completely wiped out. Inside the factory, the sound of ping-pong came one after another, and it was obvious that a fierce battle was going on. Bai Pu did not go through the main gate. He climbed up from the side wall and slipped into the factory with the help of a big banyan tree. You have entered the area where the alien space-time node is located, with a straight line distance of 150 meters. You temporarily gain the ability to call for space support. This ability can only be used against the nodes of the alien space-time. After use, the nodes of the alien space-time will be visible, and the empty space-time energy will be turned into durability. The durability can be consumed and cleared by attacking. In front of Bai Pu, a virtual blood-red arrow appeared, pointing directly to the inside of the Flesh and Blood Factory. It seems that the will of the spiritual world is really concerned about the invading alien space-time node. This should be what Kwang Cham said, an event that may affect the overall situation of the main battlefield. Bai Pu was somewhat fascinated. The main battlefield is the stage for the awakened people standing at the top to fight. I really don't know how magnificent a battle on the main battlefield will be. Bai Pu was worried that his mental scan would be discovered by the enemy's counter-reconnaissance, so he deliberately did not turn it on, but turned his mental power into a thin film, attached to his body, minimized the movement, and sneaked in quietly. In the workshop of the Flesh and Blood Factory, a Blood Ring strongman wearing a bullhorn helmet and heavy armor with blood-colored patterns was fighting fiercely with 2 enemies that Bai Pu had never seen before. The 2 enemies looked very strange. Although they had human limbs and appearance, their faces and backs had sea blue fins, and their eyelids were also moist films like those of fish. In Bai Pu's field of vision, the 2 fish-like eyes actually had a faint red light, and at the same time, the reminder of the will of the spirit world came again. You have discovered the alien walker. Killing the alien walker will gain honor points. Bai Pu knew that honor points must be a good thing. The alien walker should be an invading awakener sent by the hostile spirit world. These guys came to their own spirit world to cause destruction, and no one knew what their purpose was, but the will of the spirit world obviously hated them. The fight between Bai Pu and the awakeners of the Superstar Alliance was internal contradictions among the people in the eyes of the will of the spirit world, while the alien walker was a complete foreign enemy. Normally, the honor points rewarded for killing foreign enemies are much more valuable than the bloody treasure chests obtained from the internal fights of their own awakeners. Bai Pu threw 9 chapters at the Blood Ring warrior wearing heavy armor with blood ring patterns. Crazy Rhino Loose, Enhanced Elite Level 5, Race, Humanoid Human, Attributes, Strength 60, Agility 34, Endurance 45, Spirit 21, Skill 1, Heart of Giant Rhino, Loose gains an additional 800 HP. Skill 2, Ring of Concussion, Loose powerfully bursts out blood fighting spirit, causing concussion damage to all enemies around him, and reduces the opponent's movement speed and attack speed. Skills 3-5. This Blood Ring warrior named Crazy Rhino Loose is obviously the leader of the Blood Ring troops in Ista Town. The 2 alien walkers besieged Crazy Rhino Loose, and they obviously had the upper hand. However, Crazy Rhino Loose's heavy armor was of high quality, with amazing damage reduction, plus the extra HP bonus. It was really hard to kill. If the siege is tight, they will have to suffer the double deceleration of Ring of Shock. Not only will the output be greatly reduced, but they will also be likely to be counterattacked by the high power of the Mad Rhino Loose. So the 2 of them adopted a roaming fight, using toxins to slowly wear down the blood volume of the Mad Rhino Loose. They paid more attention to guarding against the outside world. This is also normal. If it were Bai Pu, he would do the same. Because these 2 alien travelers are invaders. Invading the hostile spiritual world, it is no exaggeration to describe it as the whole world is the enemy. They have to deal with the enemies in front of them, but more importantly, they have to guard against the enemies in the dark. According to the blood-colored virtual arrow, Bai Pu already knows the location of the alien space-time node, which is in the workshop next door. Bai Pu patrolled outside the workshop of the Flesh and Blood Factory, and did some preparations before stepping into the workshop. As soon as he stepped in, a blue ripple suddenly rose around Bai Pu. A strong force of confinement emerged. In the workshop where the alien space-time node is located, a slightly mocking voice was heard. The words spoken were obscure and difficult to understand, like the murmur of marine creatures, but the mocking tone could be heard by anyone. It turned out that there were not just 2 alien travelers present, but 3. 2 of them went to clear the town of Ister and destroyed all living creatures they could see, whether they were blood ring deformers or ordinary humans. The remaining person stayed in the workshop to guard the space-time node. If the 3 of them besieged the Crazy Rhino Loose at the same time, it would indeed greatly shorten the time to kill the opponent. But if during this period of time, a master who is good at hiding sneaked into the workshop and destroyed the space-time node, the 3 people's mission would most likely fail. Double monthly tickets have begun, and I sincerely ask for your support with monthly tickets. Chapter 165 The Powerful Octopus Head. Bai Pu was imprisoned in a water dungeon, but he was not panicked. Since he had been discovered, Bai Pu started a mental scan. During the mental scan, Bai Pu felt an extremely cold energy condensing and then releasing. A magnificent and beautiful ice spike, like a dream, suddenly shot towards Bai Pu. Just from its hidden power, one can feel the horror of this attack. At the critical moment, the shadow of a golden giant bull behind Bai Pu lit up, followed by a silent roar to the sky. The chains that bound the golden giant bull broke inch by inch. Strike armor, control release skill, evil. Bai Pu regained his freedom and immediately performed the wind slash. He did not jump towards the direction of the workshop where the time and space node was located, but jumped towards the direction of the blood ring leader Crazy Rhino Loose. The obscure language sounded again, and the void ice spike actually drew an arc, as if tracking a missile, and continued to shoot at Bai Pu. The tip of Bai Pu's long sword slashed in the air, and a whirlwind wrapped around him, turning suddenly. As if there was a landing point in the void for Bai Pu to borrow strength, he suddenly changed direction, and at the same time his speed increased sharply, wrapped in strong wind pressure, and rushed to the door of the workshop where the time and space node was located. At this time, Bai Pu finally saw the full appearance of the alien traveler sitting at the time and space node. He had an octopus face, golden pupils, and two fleshy tentacles extending diagonally from his cheeks, twisting slightly as if they were alive. After all, the void ice spike could not force a turn, and could only explode behind Bai Pu. The fine icicles fell on Bai Pu's back, and his back was immediately covered with a thin layer of white frost, and his health dropped by more than 30 points. It is conceivable that if the void ice spike hit the body, Bai Pu would suffer what kind of damage. Bai Pu threw out 9 chapters at the same time. He now has 24 points of mental power, which is enough to use 3 times even if he detects level 6 awakeners and natives. However, this time when he used 9 chapters, there was no response, and not a single bit of information was detected. Bai Pu secretly cursed his bad luck, but now he had no choice but to advance. As a melee profession, facing a magic enemy, he finally got a chance to get close by relying on control release plus charge. How could he escape? Even if he escaped, he would only be bombarded to death by the enemy's long-range spells. The strong wind force of the wind slash caused a strong floating shock force after landing. The body of the alien walker suddenly tightened and floated into the air. Bai Pu held the long sword tightly with both hands and slashed it. When the blade touched the alien walker, he heard a pop sound, as if a soap bubble burst, and the alien walker's body turned into a bubble and dissipated. What kind of skill is this, which can leave a bubble phantom to interfere with judgment while moving? And it can also deceive perception. Bai Pu's mental detection did not find that the opponent had used the displacement ability. The bubble shattered, and the figure of the alien walker appeared on the wall. He waved the staff in his hand, which looked like a water vine, and another wave of cold energy gathered, and a slightly smaller ice spike took shape. Doesn't this guy's powerful skills cost money? Bai Pu cursed in his heart, and he immediately call for space support to make the space-time nodes around me visible. In an instant, with Bai Pu as the center, a circle of invisible transparent ripples spread out. A suspended luminous triangular machine, full of a full sense of future technology, appeared in the air. Sea-level space-time node, durability 100 out of 100. Bai Pu suddenly went around the space-time node, and was separated from the powerful octopus-headed alien traveler by a space-time node. The octopus had hesitated for a moment, and the ice spike in his hand was reluctant to be released, but was eliminated with a backhand. Bai Pu sneered, and the sharp long knife fell. Durability 97 out of 100. Bai Pu hit the wooden stake too easily, and he swung the long knife in his hand, and drew the second knife smoothly along the trajectory of the wind. The durability suddenly dropped to 95 out of 100. If no one interfered, Bai Pu could dismantle this alien space-time node within a minute. The octopus had a gloomy face, and a pair of golden pupils suddenly radiated light. Suddenly, Bai Pu's eyes were white, as if he was possessed by a ghost, and he froze in place. This feeling was very strange. He was conscious, but his hands and feet were out of control. And there was no combat prompt. Originally, based on perception, Bai Pu could obtain some intelligence information, but now there was none. The will of the spiritual world seemed to be asleep. Bai Pu couldn't help but wonder, is it that the combat prompts of the will of the spiritual world, including the detection of 9 chapters, can only be targeted at awakened people in the spiritual world? For alien travelers, there is no backup of relevant data, so there is no detection in prompts? This thought flashed through his mind, and Bai Pu only saw the octopus head cruising on the wall of the workshop, changing to an angle that would not touch the space-time node, and shooting out the void ice spikes again. With a loud bang, Bai Pu's body was hit backwards by the strong impact. He spurted out a mouthful of blood with ice slag, and rolled several times, lying on the ground. This octopus head is probably the strongest among the 3 alien walkers. Bai Pu estimated that if the hostile spirit world also has a hierarchy of 1 to 10 levels, and the templates are graded into ordinary, elite, and leader, this octopus head must be at least a level 5 or 6 leader, hero profession. The octopus head fired 3 consecutive void ice spikes, including the one that just disappeared, which obviously consumed a lot of energy. He was sure that Bai Pu had been severely injured, so he was not in a hurry to make up for it. He immediately took out a small blue bottle and drank it all, and a misty blue light suddenly flashed on his body. Compared with finishing off and killing Bai Pu, the octopus head judged that his mission was more important. The 2 knives that Bai Pu had just chopped on the time and space nodes were like chopped on the tip of his heart. So he had to recover quickly to face other enemies that might appear. Suddenly, a dull sound of stomping on the ground sounded, as if a giant beast was striding towards him. The octopus head obviously sensed something, his face changed drastically, and he quickly interrupted his recovery and dodged to the side. The next second, a big hole was knocked open in the wall of the workshop like a piece of tofu, and a fat and huge body squeezed in from the hole. The skin of this guy was dead white, and it was swollen as if it had been soaked in water for several days and nights. However, under the dead white skin, there were large pieces of muscle, which made the skin as thin as a balloon filled with air. This is one of the most powerful monsters among the first generation of deformers, the Blood Mist Butcher. In the dead white hands of the Blood Mist Butcher, there was also a strange two-handed sword, with shark tooth-like serrations on the edge, covered with dark red dried blood. The Blood Mist Butcher suddenly raised the serrated sword, and under the bloody airflow, the sharp teeth of the serrated sword vibrated at a high speed, vibrating back and forth like a chainsaw. He strode towards the workshop, his two fierce little eyes flashed across Bai Pu, who was lying on the ground, and then locked onto the octopus head. Chapter 166, Showing Weakness. Long before Bai Pu entered the workshop, he had made preparations in advance. That was half an hour ago. Bai Pu first slipped into the director's office of the Flesh and Blood Factory, which was the room of Crazy Rhino Loose. After he came out, he had a few more small bottles in his hand. Then Bai Pu sneaked into the cellar, overturned the large wooden barrel that stored blood, and poured the powder in the small bottles. Suddenly, a strong smell of blood spread. Bai Pu also smeared half a bottle of stinky medicine on his body. The purpose of doing all this is to track the terrible monster that haunts the Eyster district, the Blood Mist Butcher. This is also thanks to the observation log of the Eyster district, Blood Mist Butcher, seized by Bai Pu, which records the appearance patterns and habits of the Blood Mist Butcher, as well as the method of attracting the Blood Mist Butcher. Combined with the communication just now by Crazy Chan, it is obvious that the Blood Ring is also preparing to capture wild deformed monsters. For the Blood Ring Empire, which has mastered the Matrix Christina, capturing wild deformed monsters, as long as they are engraved with the unique curse of the Blood Ring, they can be enslaved and incorporated into the combat power of the Blood Ring Empire. The powder that Bai Pu just poured in is the Blood Mist Butcher's favorite food seasoning. The Blood Mist Butcher is rampant in the peninsula. He usually eats people on the spot after killing them. Only a very small number of corpses will be plundered and slowly enjoyed by the Blood Mist Butcher. The Blood Ring Fortress found several habitats of the Blood Mist Butcher and collected dozens of incomplete corpses that he had plundered. After inspection, it was found that these corpses have one thing in common. They all have rare blood constitution. Rare blood is a unique name in the world of blood and flesh plague. This blood type has another famous name in the 20th century of the real history of the Earth: Rh-negative blood. Since more than 99% of the population has Rh-positive blood, the less than 1% Rh-negative blood is called panda blood to show its preciousness. The bottle of alchemical powder, poured into ordinary mimic blood, can create a smell similar to that of thin blood, and in large quantities. The Blood Mist Butcher's sense of smell for thin blood is so sensitive that it can be called supernatural. Even if it is far away, it will be attracted by this feast. Bai Pu combined the pattern of the appearance and disappearance of the Blood Mist Butcher recorded in the booklet, and had already calculated the possible locations of the Blood Mist Butcher, as well as the approximate time when the other party arrived at the Flesh and Blood Factory. The time he chose to break into the time and space node workshop was also carefully calculated. Long before entering the workshop, Bai Pu had guessed that there was a backup of the alien walker hidden near the time and space node of the workshop. At least there were magic traps, and there might even be a third alien walker hiding. But Bai Pu did not expect that this alien walker was so powerful that he actually had a powerful Void Ice Spike spell that could be cast continuously, and had displacement and multiple control methods. There is a small degree of suppression in the template, and a large degree of suppression in the level. Bai Pu did not intend to go all in on this alien walker. If he threw everything at it, even if he could defeat the other party, it would be difficult to kill him. The benefits were too small, and the cost was too high, which would affect his subsequent job transfer tasks. So Bai Pu chose to show weakness. After discovering that his detection methods did not work on the alien walker, Bai Pu quickly deduced that the other party's insight detection ability would definitely not work on him. Note that the detection methods here did not work, and the spirit world will did not even prompt the detection failure. After the opponent cast a spell or Bai Pu was hit by the ice spike, he did not receive the corresponding combat information prompt. This means that the spirit world will can't control the other party at all. So Bai Pu judged that the spirit world will of the other world to which the opponent belonged would definitely not control himself. In other words, the opponent had no idea how much damage a void ice spike could cause to him. Bai Pu used the newly stored adaptive evolution, cold body, to take the damage of the second void ice spike. He was knocked away and spit out blood. In fact, most of it was fake. That mouthful of blood was the mimic blood bag that Bai Pu had put in his mouth beforehand. Bai Pu pretended to be seriously injured in order to make his opponent lose vigilance. Because the Blood Mist Butcher has arrived. At this time, both the Blood Mist Butcher and the octopus head had reasons to fight. The Blood Mist Butcher used the octopus head as a snack based on his bloodthirsty instinct. The octopus head was the only living flesh and blood creature in this workshop. As for Bai Pu, he had already smeared the Blood Ring's special smelly ointment on his body. In the eyes of the Blood Mist Butcher, he looked like a pile of human feces, so he naturally had no interest in getting close. The food was stained with feces, and it could be eaten after washing, but there was a lively fresh food in front of him, so he must process the fresh food first. It looked like seafood, which undoubtedly aroused the Blood Mist Butcher's appetite. It should be said that the will of the spirit world cannot directly manipulate the natives or monsters. They have their own behavior patterns. However, the will of the spirit world can be guided to a limited extent. For example, make the appearance of the octopus head more delicious in the eyes of the Blood Mist Butcher, and arouse its appetite. Bai Pu secretly observed, and after seeing the Blood Mist Butcher striding towards the octopus head, he secretly made a judgment. The octopus head did not dare to escape, because he did not dare to bet whether the Blood Mist Butcher would attack the time and space node. At this time, he had handed in most of his skills, and his mental power was nearly half consumed. Only the Ice Thorn skill that came with the Water Vine staff was left to use. Facing the Blood Mist Butcher who strengthened the leader template, the pressure can be imagined. So the octopus head immediately used his set skills. 4 green lights flashed on his body, and the surrounding air became sticky and humid, and the sound of the tide of the sea could be faintly heard. The void unfolded a deep blue teleportation portal, and poison frogs, crab people, lobster people and other marine subspecies jumped out of it, as many as 20 or 30. Each of these marine subspecies has a leader, who is estimated to be an elite. The Blood Mist Butcher laughed wildly. In his eyes, this group of marine subspecies was nothing more than a pile of seafood on the table. The violent blood-colored energy around him spread out, covering the entire workshop. The will of the spiritual world, which had no news, finally sent a prompt message: based on your perception, you have obtained the following combat information. Blood Mist Butcher's skills. The slaughterhouse is activated, causing a moderate deceleration effect on all enemies within the target range. Every time the Blood Mist Butcher kills an enemy, he will provide himself with life recovery, which is equivalent to 10% of the health of the dead target. At the same time, the Blood Mist Butcher's serrated sword slashed down. A lobster soldier raised a heavy shell shield to resist, but the high-speed vibrating chainsaw teeth on the serrated sword left a deep dent on the shell shield, breaking it like a saw sawing a wooden board. Immediately after that, the Blood Mist Butcher's sword flashed, and the body of the lobster soldier was separated from it. The dark green intestines mixed with internal organs flowed all over the ground. The Blood Mist Butcher grinned and tore off the lower half of the lobster man's giant tail, threw it into his mouth and chewed it. The attacks of the surrounding lobster men, crabmen and poison frogs fell on him, only causing small lacerations, but these lacerations healed and regenerated at an astonishing speed. From a data perspective, the health points of the Blood Mist Butcher that were knocked down were recovering at an astonishing speed. Chapter 167, Almost Broken Shield. Such an blood recovery effect is obviously the passive effect of Blood Mist Butcher's slaughterhouse. Group battles are just a delivery for this terrible enhanced leader. However, Octopus had summoned these monsters just to win space for himself to cast spells. He quickly stepped back a few steps, waved the Water Vine staff again, and a group of awe-inspiring cold air balls shot out, spread under the feet of Blood Mist Butcher, turning into a white speed bump. Obviously, Octopus Head has extremely rich combat experience. After Blood Mist Butcher appeared, he quickly saw that the weakness of this enhanced leader was speed. So he started by limiting the movement speed of Blood Mist Butcher, and the enhanced cold air field made Blood Mist Butcher difficult to walk, and then he cast ordinary basic ice spells. Ordinary ice spikes shot out from the tip of the Water Vine staff. When the ice spikes shot out, Octopus Head would rotate his wrist slightly, and draw an additional complicated circular spell pattern, so that the ice spikes shot out would appear to be rotating at high speed. Although this did not increase the frost damage, it was attached with a strong impact force, like a bullet. Obviously, it was some kind of powerful combat specialty effect. The Blood Mist Butcher was difficult to move in the deceleration field. The ice spikes with strong spiral impact force shot over and repelled him little by little. He often took 2 or 3 small steps forward, but had to take a big step back. He was almost moving in situ. However, the Blood Mist Butcher had thick skin and flesh, and the ice spikes could only break his skin and flesh, and could not pose a threat to his life at all. The octopus had also consumed mental power to cast the basic ice spells that came with the water vine staff. Now the scene has become a tug-of-war. It depends on whether the octopus head runs out of mental power first, or the Blood Mist Butcher falls first. In Bai Pu's opinion, it is estimated that the Blood Mist Butcher will have the last laugh. Of course, the octopus head should only need to guard the time and space node for a period of time. This is based on Bai Pu's inference based on his mission to destroy the time and space node in the other world within 120 minutes, so the delaying tactics are not unacceptable to the octopus head. He was also waiting. After the other 2 alien travelers killed the crazy rhino loose, they would come to support. However, this fragile balance was broken in an instant. Bai Pu patted the ice chips on his body, and stood up lightly in the incredible eyes of the octopus head. While the Blood Mist Butcher was holding the octopus head, Bai Pu took 2 steps to the time and space node and raised his long knife. 1 knife, 2 knives, 3 knives. Bai Pu, who mastered Seeking the Wind, could trigger the double knife special effect every time when chopping such fixed wooden stakes, and the efficiency was amazing. After the alien time and space node was chopped, the durability dropped rapidly, and the glowing triangle on one side of the triangular cone had dimmed. Several lobster people and crab people bypassed the Blood Mist Butcher and rushed towards Bai Pu. The group of poisonous frogs also shifted their attack targets. It turned out that the octopus had sent the monsters he summoned to stop him at a critical moment. He even left only 2 elite creatures to hold back the Blood Mist Butcher, trying to kill Bai Pu first and save the time and space node. Bai Pu looked at the knives, forks, pliers and other weapons of the lobster man and crab man, as well as the tongue attack of the poison frog, and expressionlessly switched the adaptive evolution to keratin skin. Then he ignored it and swung the long knife to continue attacking the time and space node. The summoned marine creatures attacked Bai Pu, but it didn't hurt at all. They couldn't even make Bai Pu's body shake violently and affect his output. The octopus head roared as if from the deep sea. Outside the workshop, footsteps sounded, and the other 2 alien walkers rushed to help quickly. The mad rhino loose, who was heavily suppressed by them, had only about 1/3 of his life left. At this time, he saved his life and chose to follow up instead of running away. It's so lively. Suddenly, the voice of Kwang Chan sounded. He finally arrived. However, his other 2 teammates were nowhere to be found. It might be because Kwang Chan was good at agility and was fast enough, but the 2 teammates did not catch up in time. Stop the 2 alien travelers, Bai Pu said immediately. Kwang Chan glanced at the time and space node, waved his hand and shot a sleeve arrow, hitting the time and space node, making a little contribution, and then smiled. No problem. Kwang Chan put his hands together, and 2 miniature dragon energy wrapped around his wrists, rushing towards the 2 alien travelers like an angry dragon. Bai Pu continued to attack the time and space node, and the octopus head was shocked and angry, and his bald gelatinous head turned red. He roared, and the water vine staff cracked and fine cracks appeared. A group of reinforced void ice spikes suddenly took shape, turned into a white comet and shot towards Bai Pu. The inside of the comet wrapped a little tip of the water vine staff. The octopus had also tried his best. He was willing to destroy his own staff to stop Bai Pu. What answered him was a heavy shield engraved with a beautiful human-faced demon spider pattern. With a loud bang, the white comet hit the shield, quickly turning the shield and Bai Pu holding it into a thick ice sculpture. The strong pushing force even overwhelmed the toughness resistance of heavy armor mastery, and pushed the thick ice sculpture that Bai Pu had turned into back more than 10 meters, leaving a snow-white ice path on the ground. But in the next second, a scene that made Octopus Head despair appeared. The ice sculpture cracked from the inside with a crack, and then exploded into ice crystals all over the sky. It was a close call, and the shield was almost broken. There was a slightly thin blood-colored shield on Bai Pu's body, which was turning into blood-colored energy and dissipating. He knew that the shield could not block spells, but could only reduce the impact of spells. Of course, Bai Pu also used the Spider Demon Tower shield because of the 12% damage reduction brought by +4. At the same time, Bai Pu also switched to the cold body and activated a unstable shield. Under multiple reductions, this desperate enhanced void ice spike only close to breaking the unstable shield. Then Bai Pu chose to detonate the remaining shield value and blasted the ice layer wrapped around himself. He shook off the ice debris on his body, strode towards the time and space node, and raised his long knife high in the desperate scream of the octopus head. Crash! The triangular pyramid time and space nodes scattered all over the ground, turning into a light blue psychic particle stream, dissipating between the world. Scavenger mission, clearing the alien time and space nodes has been completed. You have obtained the honor item, Black Iron Medal. You have obtained the rank, Corporal. Current honor value, 60 out of 100. Based on your rank, you have activated the common language translation function of SYNOPSIS. Time was running out. Bai Pu had no time to check the Black Iron Medal, but planned to work with Quang Chan to deal with the two melee-type alien walkers first. As for the battle between Octopus Head and Blood Mist Butcher, Bai Pu didn't want to get involved at all. Not to mention how difficult Octopus Head was, Blood Mist Butcher was not a good person. This powerful deformer monster definitely didn't distinguish between friend and foe. However, the moment the alien space-time node was destroyed, the battle was over. 3 alien walkers burst out with blue energy streams at the same time. 2 of the weaker melee alien walkers quickly disintegrated, as if they were erased by an invisible eraser, leaving no trace. Only the powerful Octopus Head screamed obscure language to the sky. The obscure language, when it reached Bai Pu's ears, was automatically transformed into Chinese that Bai Pu could understand, and the tone of voice was vivid. Apparently, Bai Pu's newly acquired rank of corporal gave him the language translation function of the planet where the Octopus Head was. What the Octopus Head said was, "No. I should not be wiped out. I, Meshit, am a warrior blessed by the great Muzulu. I have the right to live as long as I pass the punishment of the Abyss Road." The blue energy flow circled, and the Octopus Head's figure gradually faded and disappeared. Before disappearing, the pair of golden pupils still stared at Bai Pu fiercely, with undisguised hatred and determination for revenge. Chapter 168 Good luck. After the alien traveler named Meshit disappeared, the marine creatures he summoned also turned into blue particles and slowly dissipated at the same time. There were only 4 people left in the field. Bai Pu, Quang Chan, Blood Mist Butcher, Quang Zai Loose. The Blood Mist Butcher, who had lost his target, turned to Bai Pu with a flash of fierce eyes. Then he showed a disgusted expression and looked at Quang Chan. Obviously, Quang Zai Loose was also a deformer, and his flesh and blood could not arouse the interest of the Blood Mist Butcher. Bai Pu applied the stinky ointment that the Blood Mist Butcher hated. This was an alchemical item developed by the Blood Ring alchemists to deal with the Blood Mist Butcher. The effect was extremely effective. If the Blood Mist Butcher was extremely hungry, he would indeed catch Bai Pu and wash it well before eating it. But there was another fresh flesh and blood life form in front of him, Quang Chan. Quang Chan was a level 4 hero profession, and he looked chewy no matter how he looked at it. Although there was also the rare blood that the Blood Mist Butcher loved to drink in this place, the rare blood could not fill his stomach after all. Besides, the thin blood won't run away here. First, catch the main meal of Quang Chan, and then eat with thin blood. The dining experience will definitely be more comfortable. The Blood Mist Butcher strode towards Quang Chan. Fuck. Quang Chan cursed, "Do you want to try and deal with him here?" Bai Pu refused without hesitation. "Even if you and I work together to kill the Blood Mist Butcher, it will reduce my mission evaluation. I don't want to do this unless I have to. So, I wish you good luck." The completion of the task and the evaluation of the task are 2 different things. It's like a test paper. The completion refers to whether the questions on the test paper have been completed, and the evaluation refers to the accuracy of the questions, whether the handwriting is good, etc. Okay, this trip is not in vain. I got a chance to get the rank of corporal and earn 10 honor points. Quang Chan smiled bitterly, then turned around and ran away. The Blood Mist Butcher strode after him, but with Quang Chan's agility, he was not caught up by the Blood Mist Butcher and cut into pieces. Only Bai Pu and the crazy Rhino Loose were left in the workshop. Bai Pu looked at the crazy Rhino Loose. "Your superior, through the Blood Ring seal, gave you the order to guard the flesh and blood factory, right?" This order is the cage that restrains you. So, you clearly had the opportunity to escape, but you didn't. Bai Pu sighed lightly. I don't know whether it is your luck or misfortune to meet me. The crazy rhino loose didn't pay attention to what Bai Pu said. He roared, strode towards Bai Pu, lowered his head, and used the sharp metal horns on his heavy helmet to hit Bai Pu. This collision was very fierce and fast, and Bai Pu had no time to dodge. But Bai Pu didn't plan to dodge. He put away his long sword, stretched out his hands, and suddenly grabbed the horns on the helmet of the crazy rhino loose. Two guys who were not as strong as humans wrestled in the workshop, and their muscles were bulging, like the heroic sculptures of ancient Greece, full of masculinity and fitness. The crazy rhino loose felt a heavy pressure on his head, and his body was actually pressed down bit by bit. Unbelievable emotions flashed through his mind. This guy who was weaker than him, was actually stronger than him? Exclamation mark. Bang! The crazy rhino loose suddenly loosened his hand that was holding Bai Pu's wrist, and punched out suddenly, hitting the armor plate on Bai Pu's abdomen. Then he stepped back suddenly, using inertia to pull, and threw Bai Pu to the ground. Bai Pu rolled over and climbed up, wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth. This fighting expertise is not low. Advanced to level 6 or 7. Bai Pu praised, and with a backhand touch on his waist, the bright longsword appeared again. The crazy rhino loose also drew out the two-handed heavy sword, stepped forward and swung it hard. This guy is indeed an enhanced elite. He is also very good at two-handed swordsmanship. His sword strikes with a sense of great skill. After Bai Pu blocked with his sword, the sword tip slid down and deftly cut Bai Pu's arm holding the sword. If this sword forces Bai Pu back, the crazy rhino loose will continue to step forward and attack, like a windmill that has started, never stopping. However, Bai Pu chose not to avoid it. With a clang, Iron Wrist Sword of the Immortal King took the blow, and Bai Pu's figure did not shake. He pulled out a knife and slashed it diagonally on the chest of the crazy rhino loose, followed by the force of mountain collapse, and the blood-fighting spirit exploded in front of the chest of the crazy rhino loose, followed by 3 consecutive slashes of strong wind. The burly body of the crazy rhino loose shook suddenly and sat down softly. He had experienced a hard battle and was originally at low health. At this time, he was hit by Bai Pu's continuous swords and finally fell into a state of serious injury. Bai Pu was waiting for this moment. He suddenly poked out his finger, piercing through the blood-stained chest, and a drop of pure blood was injected into the body of the crazy rhino loose. The body of the crazy rhino loose trembled greatly. It was obvious that the control power of the blood ring curse was in conflict with the power of pure blood. However, the power of pure blood still slowly and resolutely replaced the control of the blood ring curse. Between the eyebrows of the crazy rhino loose, a blood-colored spell dissipated inch by inch. You control the crazy rhino loose as your slave. Crazy rhino loose is a distorted monster, and it depends entirely on the orders of its superior master, so this time there is no option of whether to retain complete thinking ability. After Bai Pu controlled the crazy rhino loose, he checked his strength and found that this guy was really strong. As a strength specialized enhanced elite, his upper limit of health points was as high as 1,500 points. Fighting expertise and two-handed swordsmanship expertise are both advanced to level 6, and have not yet reached the level of advanced 7. It seems that the 7th level of advancement is a threshold for life in the intermediate spirit world. Bai Pu's hidden title limit breaker played a role, allowing the 2 main combat specialties of crazy rhino loose to be upgraded to the 7th level of advancement, and can draw the special effects of the 7th level of advancement. Bai Pu browsed it and found that the specialties of the 7th level of advancement were indeed much stronger. In terms of numerical value alone, it was more than double the special effects of the 4th level of advancement. Bai Pu quickly selected 2 special effects. Advanced Combat Level 7 Special Effect, Force Release, Passive. Facing an enemy with a strength value greater than yours, you can try to release part of the attack force to reduce the damage received. 20. Advanced Equipment, Two-Handed Sword Skill Level 7 Special Effect, Force Attack, Passive. Your sword attack has a chance to hit the opponent's weakness, causing force damage, based on the strength difference. When the enemy's strength is less than 50% of yours, the force damage will be converted to true damage. After making the choice, Bai Pu ordered the crazy rhino loose to fetch the information about the blood mist butcher stored in the flesh and blood factory, as well as the alchemical medicines prepared by the alchemists to deal with the blood mist butcher. The blood mist butcher couldn't catch up with Kwang Chen and would soon return. After all, there was a breath of thin blood here that attracted him. Bai Pu had to prepare as soon as possible. He wanted to kill the blood mist butcher here. While the crazy rhino loose was in action, Bai Pu finally had time to check the prompt message about military rank. Military rank is the level obtained by the awakened who participated in the Spirit World War by accumulating honors and establishing merits. Bai Pu is currently a corporal, and he and Kwang Chen worked together to destroy a space-time node, which rewarded him with 60 honor points. When the honor value reaches 100 points, he can be promoted to sergeant. Of course, when destroying the space-time node, Bai Pu accounted for the vast majority of the contribution, so only he got the black iron medal, and Kwang Chen just mixed 10 points of honor and corporal rank. Bai Pu took out a black iron medal. This thing is dark and made of an unknown metal. It is engraved with a circular pattern that looks like a 3-leaf sickle. Black iron medal, bound, can be exchanged for 100 honors. When your rank is promoted to lieutenant, you need to use at least one black iron medal to complete the promotion. Bai Pu read the prompt carefully and learned 2 pieces of information. First, when the rank is promoted from corporal to sergeant or staff sergeant, it is a small rank promotion, as long as the honor points are accumulated enough. Second, the rank promotion from sergeant to lieutenant is a big rank promotion. In addition to accumulating enough honor points, you also have to spend medals. So this black iron medal that can be exchanged for 100 honor points definitely cannot be used to exchange for honor. Chapter 169 Inert Potion. Bai Pu then looked up the role of military rank. He is only a corporal now, and there is not much he can learn. The will of the spirit world only vaguely mentioned that the military rank represents your level of authority, and you can exchange some rare items every time you enter and exit the spirit world, and nothing else. In short, it is something that you don't need to consider now. If there is a chance to accumulate honor, of course you should accumulate it, but there is no need to deliberately seek it. The chances of encountering invasions by alien walkers are rare. After all, there are so many planes in the spirit world. It is estimated that if you want to accumulate honor and improve your military rank, the best place is still the main battlefield, but unfortunately that is a place that Bai Pu cannot go to for the time being. Not long after, the crazy rhino loose hurried back with a box. Bai Pu opened the box, which contained some bottles and jars, and a scroll next to it. Inert potion, blood mist butcher, recipe, special item, teach you how to make an inert potion that restrains the blood mist butcher. It cannot be taken out of this world. This is the explanation given by the will of the spirit world, and on the cover of the scroll, there is a line of words scribbled. As the first generation of deformers, the blood mist butcher is powerful but not perfect. Making an inert potion based on his shortcomings can effectively suppress him. Bai Pu found that he could learn this formula directly. Obviously, under normal means, if you kill the crazy rhino Luke, you will definitely be able to draw this inert potion formula from the opponent's treasure chest. The will of the spirit world will not give impossible tasks, even if it is a job transfer task. Bai Pu is a level 3 enhanced elite, and the first generation of deformers such as the blood mist butcher to deal with are level 6 enhanced leaders. There is a huge gap in both templates and levels. Under this condition, if you want to complete the task, you can only reduce the difficulty through Bai Pu's knowledge of flesh and blood alchemy. Now that Bai Pu has enslaved the crazy rhino Luke, the inert potion formula that should have been dropped has become a crazy rhino Luke. The bottles and jars in the box are a part of the materials for making inert potions. Bai Pu took out the intercom and pressed the button. "Hey, how are you doing?" Bai Pu asked. "It's okay. I've gotten rid of the blood mist butcher. It's eating the corpses of civilians in Oyster Town." Kwang Chen said half-jokingly, "So you care so much about your teammates? It's really unlike you." Beep, Bai Pu hung up the call. He took a deep breath, then opened the scroll and began to read the formula of the inert potion. Flesh factory, cellar. Mimic blood gurgled in the cellar, slowly seeping in along the hardened ground. Boom. The dome of the basement was violently broken. A fat and huge figure squeezed down with some effort and fell into the blood plasma with a plop. It was the blood mist butcher. In Oyster Town, the blood mist butcher ate some civilian corpses and hastily filled his stomach. However, the smell of thin blood in the flesh factory made him miss it. It was like a diner who had just swallowed his food and urgently needed a delicious drink to moisten his throat. The simulated blood on the ground was flowing wantonly, and now it was half dried up. It won't be long before the plasma will be completely dried up. Seeing the flowing blood, the blood mist butcher was anxious, and he half knelt on the ground, leaned down, and drank it up. However, the taste was wrong. The blood mist butcher looked up, tasted it carefully, and leaned down with some disbelief, and took another sip. This time he finally judged that this was not his favorite thin blood at all. It was just a fake and inferior product with the same smell. The blood mist butcher roared, swung the sawtooth sword, and smashed all the jars and barrels in the cellar. He was still angry, and squeezed out of the crack in the cellar with a mutter. However, just as he squeezed out of the cellar, a heavy sword slashed across. The blood mist butcher wanted to swing the sawtooth sword to block, but his move was blocked in vain, and the heavy sword slashed across, leaving a deep wound on his body. It was the mad rhino loose who launched the attack first. After he chopped with his sword, he clenched the sword with both hands and spun it around, forming a circle of powerful blade whirlwinds. The energy scattered by the blades left scars of varying depths on the blood mist butcher's body. It was the combat skill of the mad rhino loose, whirlwind slash. The blood mist butcher roared in a muffled voice, aimed at the circle of blade whirlwinds, and swung the serrated sword from bottom to top, just like a golf swing. Boom! The whirlwind slash was broken alive, and the body of the mad rhino loose was knocked out. The blood mist butcher took a step forward with his thick thighs, and chased with his sword. However, a spider demon tower shield quickly appeared in front of him. Ling. The spider demon tower shield trembled slightly, but the person holding the shield was extremely determined and did not retreat at all. Bai Pu had already thrown out Chapter 9 to explore and learn some information about the blood mist butcher. Based on your rank, Corporal, you have obtained slightly more detailed intelligence information. Blood mist butcher, enhanced leader level 6, inert potion race, humanoid aberrant attributes, strength 90, agility 43, stamina, spirit 25, skill 1, heart of the madman. Blood mist butcher gains 1300 extra HP. Skills 2-8, slaughterhouse, chainsaw blade, cutting, shattering the earth, breaking the courage, 90 points of strength. This is a powerful boss that has high damage, high HP, high endurance, and is not afraid of siege. The weakness should be that the spirit and perception are relatively low. Bai Pu made a quick judgment. Just now, Bai Pu mixed the inert potion with a simulated thin blood and induced the blood mist butcher to drink it. Fortunately, the blood mist butcher had a low perception of danger, swallowed the inert potion in large mouthfuls, and was affected by the potion. Inert potion, the movement speed and attack speed of the blood mist butcher are reduced by 35% for 120 minutes. Since the potion uses a formula for the blood mist butcher's toxin resistance cannot take effect. If it weren't for the inert potion that weakened the blood mist butcher, Bai Pu would definitely not dare to try to kill this huge monster alone. Even if the task evaluation was lowered, he would have to call people to beat him up at the risk of a sudden change in the difficulty of the task. Bai Pu's strength is 59 points at this time. He temporarily merged the gene fragments of a blood ring heavy swordsman and obtained a temporary bonus of 8 points of basic strength. At the same time, the blood ring heavy swordsman swallowed by the spider demon tower shield also provided him with a bonus of 3 points of strength and 3 points of agility. At the same time, Bai Pu also has a full 20 points of strength confrontation when holding a weapon or shield with both hands, which makes him equivalent to 79 points of strength in a strength confrontation. Bai Pu also has the toughness of heavy armor mastery for knockback and knockback, so facing the terrifying 90 points of strength of the blood mist butcher, he can still hold his position. The spider demon tower shield blocked the attack at a slightly tilted angle, dissipating the force while reducing the durability loss of the shield. Bai Pu wiped his right hand on his belt and pulled out a sharp long knife. The shadow of the scorpion tail lion flashed behind him. He activated the strongest trump card for the single challenge to the boss, the scorpion tail lion's sting. As a deformer, the blood mist butcher has full toxin resistance. Unless it is a toxin such as inert potion that targets its genetic defects, it will be directly discharged. However, the priority of this toxin immunity is 5 points, which is the basic priority of the blood mist butcher itself as an enhanced leader. The additional priority of the scorpion tail lion's sting, ignoring toxin resistance, is 3 points. With the 3 basic priorities of Bai Pu himself as an enhanced elite, the overall priority is as high as 6 points. Therefore, the 2 tit-for-tat special effects directly distinguished the superiority, The scorpion tail lion's poison began to stack layers on the blood mist butcher. At the same time, it ignores defense and resistance, causing full damage. I'm asking for monthly votes at the end of the month. They will be invalid after today. Please support me, and I also want your recommendation votes. Thank you. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 170 War of Attrition. After Bai Pu merged with the gene fragments of the Blood Ring Heavy Swordsman, his two-handed swordsmanship expertise has been pushed to the advanced level 7, level 4 plus level 6, and with the level 1 of the Limit Breaker, it has reached the advanced level 8. What does this mean? Looking at the entire world of Blood Plague, Distortion, the advanced level 8 two-handed swordsmanship is also the pinnacle. Although Bai Pu is now controlling the long sword with one hand, his combat expertise is a combination of his one-handed and two-handed swordsmanship values, which will reduce some levels, but this only reduces the direct damage he can cause. There are some slight discomforts in the power, resulting in a decrease in power skills, but the eyesight brought by the advanced level 8 two-handed swordsmanship and the grasp of the timing of the attack are still uncompromised. If it is a normal state, the Blood Mist Butcher can still rely on the suppression brought by 43 points of agility to make up for the lack of skills. But now he is affected by the inert potion, and his speed of attack and movement speed are greatly reduced. He can't parry or dodge Bai Pu's sword attack from the technical level. Bai Pu made full use of the effect of the scorpion tail lion's poison. When he drew his sword, he touched it and left. He didn't fight the Blood Mist Butcher at all. He only left a shallow wound on the Blood Mist Butcher's dead white skin. The full toxin is 9 points of damage per second, ignoring resistance. It is 540 points of damage per minute. Even if the Blood Mist Butcher's health is naturally restored very quickly, it will definitely not keep up with the speed of health loss. Scorpion Tail Lion's sting is really strong. Of course, the premise for this accessory to continue to work is that Bai Pu can continue to add poisoning layers while withstanding the Blood Mist Butcher's violent attacks. With a loud bang, the Blood Mist Butcher swung the serrated sword with both hands and slashed horizontally, aiming at the gap where Bai Pu had just drawn his sword. Under the infusion of blood-colored energy, the serrated sword vibrated at a high speed. Blood Mist Butcher's skill, cutting, is activated. Bai Pu could only set up the Spider Demon Tower shield with his left hand and block again. Creaking, a trembling sound that made one's teeth ache, accompanied by the scattering of bone fragments. The durability of the Spider Demon Tower's shield was worn away by 10 points by this attack. This was when Bai Pu used the shield mastering skill of deflection to unload the force. It's not that the gold level shield is too bad, but that the 90 points of strength are too terrifying. If it were an ordinary enhanced elite level 3 tank, the shield would definitely be broken and the person would fly away. With a loud bang, the right foot of the crazy rhino loose next to him suddenly stepped on the ground, and a strong blood-colored air wave spread. The Blood Mist Butcher was hit by this blood-colored air force and his speed slowed down again. This is the range control skill of the crazy rhino loose, Ring of Concussion. It's a pity that Loose's move has a low priority, and the deceleration effect was mostly resisted by the Blood Mist Butcher. Otherwise, the full deceleration is as high as 30 points, which is enough to make the Blood Mist Butcher, who has been hit by the inert potion, move as slowly as a turtle. Of course, it is enough now. Bai Pu's combat expertise is high. With a double weakening of the speed of the Blood Mist Butcher, he can already do it mainly by dodging attacks. If he can't dodge, he will rely on the Spider Demon Tower shield. The Blood Mist Butcher's health value is lost over time, but he can't cause effective damage to Bai Pu. Just like a powerful bull, charging again and again with all his strength, but being evaded by the seemingly weak bullfighter, it feels a bit aggrieved that he can't use his punch. The Blood Mist Butcher suddenly stopped dodging the attack, roared and raised his arms high. There was a bloody light flowing on his body, condensing from bottom to top like liquid on the serrated sword. Even a fool can see that the Blood Mist Butcher is accumulating power. Bai Pu threw the shield in his left hand and used the skill of spinning throw. The Spider Demon Tower shield, wrapped in blood fighting spirit, slammed into the neck of the Blood Mist Butcher, but was abruptly offset by the bloody light flowing on his body. Although this attack caused considerable damage, The Blood Mist Butcher's charging action was not interrupted at all. This was because his priority was far lower than that of his opponent, so the interruption effect was almost zero. Retreat. Bai Pu ordered, and at the same time, he used the wind slash and shot rapidly to the side. Boom. The Blood Mist Butcher's serrated sword slashed down. The moment it slashed down, the air seemed to be solidified. Bai Pu's wind slash was broken abruptly, and his toes fell down as soon as they left the ground. His whole body was also penetrated by the shock of the ki, and he fell into a brief stiffness. The blood-colored energy wave of the serrated sword was violently injected into the ground around the Blood Mist Butcher. The huge monster roared and suddenly lifted the serrated sword inserted into the ground. Boom boom boom. As if countless explosives were detonated, the earth exploded, and Bai Pu and Luce were both shaken high up, and at the same time suffered a lot of damage. This is the Blood Mist Butcher's skill, earth-shattering. Fortunately, when the Blood Mist Butcher used this skill, he was also in a state of stiffness for a long time, unable to move or attack. Otherwise, he would have taken the opportunity to cut Bai Pu twice, and Bai Pu would have been skinned alive. Bai Pu fell to the ground in a mess, feeling sore all over, and blood foam overflowed from the corners of his mouth. With this blow, his health value was reduced by 220 points. This was the result of him switching to adaptive evolution, fluid skeleton in advance, reducing half of the blunt damage. The crazy Rhino Lucius was not so good. He was hit by this large-scale high-damage skill and rolled out like a pebble. He lay on the ground and completely lost his combat ability. When the crazy Rhino Lucius was controlled by Bai Pu, he was already in a state of residual blood and serious injury. Bai Pu used evergreen paste on him once to remove the serious injury state, and then used alchemical potions to slowly restore his health value. Drinking alchemical potions will accumulate drug resistance. The first bottle of alchemical potion has the best recovery effect, and the second bottle of potion may only have 60% or 70% of the effect. It takes several hours of rest to clear the drug resistance. Therefore, the health of the crazy Rhino Luce was not fully restored, but only about half, that is, 800 points. Just now, the Blood Mist Butcher's skill, earth-shattering, directly blasted away more than 500 health points of the crazy Rhino Luce. Such a high single damage, more than one-third of the upper limit of health, once again put him in a seriously injured state. Bai Pu could only order the crazy Rhino Luce to escape from the battle. He was afraid of another terrible skill of the Blood Mist Butcher with high endurance, Slaughterhouse. Once the crazy Rhino Luce died in the range of the Slaughterhouse, the Blood Mist Butcher would quickly recover 150 health points, which Bai Pu could not accept. For the same reason, Bai Pu did not dare to activate the demon equipment, Spider Demon Tower Shield's other skill, Spider Demon Summoning. In case the summoned Spider Ghost group was destroyed by an AoE, wouldn't it be equivalent to giving the Blood Mist Butcher a large medical pack? Luce's exit reduced Bai Pu's chance of victory by at least 20%. The output is fine, but the superimposed deceleration effect of Luce's Ring of Shock is the real key. Now the Blood Mist Butcher only has the deceleration of Inert Potion left, and the speed has increased compared to before. Bai Pu had no choice but to reveal the next trump card. On the surface of the Golden Horn armor, the Blood and Flesh spell burned inch by inch. The Blood and Flesh armor was activated. What Bai Pu wanted was not the dark attribute magic damage of the Blood and Flesh armor, but the forced adsorption effect of Gravity Ball. This adsorption effect will be greatly weakened by the powerful priority template of the Blood Mist Butcher, but the remaining effect is enough to affect the speed of about 15 points of agility. Unfortunately, the adsorption effect of Gravity Ball is not equal to deceleration, but it continuously adsorbs the surrounding enemies in the direction of Bai Pu. So when the Blood Mist Butcher sprints towards Bai Pu, he will get a 15-point acceleration effect as if he is stepping on a skateboard. But this acceleration effect may not be what the Blood Mist Butcher likes. Compared to fighting on flat ground, fighting on a skateboard must be very uncomfortable. The sword was swung out, originally based on instinctive experience, to accurately chop Bai Pu's neck, but with the effect of being adsorbed, the landing point of this sword was biased to Bai Pu's back. In order to maximize the effect of the Gravity Ball, Bai Pu also circled around the Blood Mist Butcher and kept changing positions, sometimes on the left side of the Blood Mist Butcher, sometimes on his right. The power of adsorption kept changing, as if an invisible hand kept pulling the Blood Mist Butcher. Although the force was not strong, it was enough to be extremely annoying. Time passed little by little, and the blood mist butcher's health had been lost by more than half. He suddenly opened his mouth and let out a roar. The transparent ring-shaped sound wave spread in circles, and the surrounding sand, gravel and dust were blown away, and even the pipes in the workshop exploded one after another. Harsh roar. Chapter 171 Blood Mist Butcher's Chainsaw Sword. Bai Pu's brain was almost blank. He was shaken by this piercing roar, and lost his balance, as if he was drunk. The serrated sword of the Blood Mist Butcher had already chopped down in high-speed vibration, and it split into multiple phantoms. This is a powerful skill, serial cutting, that has never been detected. Bai Pu used his remaining instincts to do two things. First, switch the adaptive evolution to keratin skin. Second, turn on the unstable shield. Swish. The Blood Mist Butcher's serial cutting skill finally got what he wanted this time, bypassing Bai Pu's spider tower shield protection and hitting directly. Bai Pu's figure flew backwards, with blood dripping on his chest, and even his ribs could be seen. His unstable shield was actually broken by a single blow. But Bai Pu did not daze. He landed and quickly patted his face to make himself more sober, then set up the spider tower shield again, held the long knife in his right hand, and rushed towards the Blood Mist Butcher. Escape is useless. The only way to defend is to attack and kill the terrible monster in front of you. Under tremendous pressure, Bai Pu's spirit was highly concentrated. Every move of the Blood Mist Butcher was clearly visible in his field of vision, and he could even vaguely grasp the attack intention contained in each move, thus predicting the signs of the Blood Mist Butcher's attack and making a prejudgment in advance. The Blood Mist Butcher found something wrong. Every time he attacked, it seemed as if he was seen through by his opponent. He either fell into the air or slid away against the hateful spider demon tower shield. Obviously, this weak human in front of him, as long as 2 or 3 consecutive attacks landed on the real place, it would be enough to kill him. But time passed minute by minute, and the human in front of him was covered in blood, but he still stood in front of him stubbornly. But he gradually became weak. Every time the cursed knife cut his skin, it would cause his vitality to be lost. The Blood Mist Butcher turned around suddenly and chose to run away. As a wild deformer, the Blood Mist Butcher did not have orders from his superiors that he had to obey like the crazy rhino ruse. All his action patterns followed instinct. The desire for flesh and blood, and the instinct for survival. So when his health dropped to less than 20%, the Blood Mist Butcher chose to flee without any backbone. At this time, the duration of Bai Pu's flesh and blood armor had expired, and the adsorption effect of the gravity ball disappeared. But Bai Pu certainly couldn't let this guy go. He strode to catch up, still using the knife to slowly cut the Blood Mist Butcher's skin, and continued to refresh the poisoning layer. The Blood Mist Butcher ran for a while, and found that he couldn't run away, so he threw away the heavy serrated sword and tried to use the method of grappling and throwing to break Bai Pu's shield defense. Bai Pu was surprised and happy, knowing that this was the Blood Mist Butcher who was desperate and had completely lost his mind. He wiped his left hand on his belt, took the initiative to put away the tower shield, and held the sharp long knife with both hands. At the same time, behind him, the shadow of a giant crocodile flashed away. +4 accessories, the fierce eyes of the giant crocodile, open. This feeling is still the most comfortable. Bai Pu suddenly approached and slashed with his knife. It seemed that the angle of the move was wrong. It rubbed the belly of the Blood Mist Butcher. The tip of the knife hit the ground directly, but in fact, it was the knife that was placed in place and lightly tripped the Blood Mist Butcher's calf. The Blood Mist Butcher was originally rushing over, but was tripped by Bai Pu's blade and immediately stumbled forward. Bai Pu drew his knife and slashed again, suddenly exerting force, collapsing the mountain. A huge and terrible bloody wound appeared on the side of the Blood Mist Butcher's neck, and even part of the dead white fat was removed. In the small section of the side of the neck that was cut horizontally, you can even see the veins that were cut off at the root. Blood gushed out. Bai Pu immediately triggered the wound-seeking special effect, and with a backhand flick, he accurately flicked back through the wound just now. 196, critical hit. 158, critical hit, overflow damage. The Blood Mist Butcher's thick neck was chopped off with only a trace of skin sticking to it. He covered his neck, as if he couldn't believe it, and seemed to be trying to put his head back on his neck. But it was all in vain, and the Blood Mist Butcher fell down with a plop. You killed the Blood Mist Butcher. You can place the living tissue of the original heart in the body of the Blood Mist Butcher, which will immediately bring you 10% of the task completion, You can also not place it for the time being, and bring the blood mist butcher's body to Kin. This will bring you 10% of the task completion, when the task is settled, and at the same time, Kin will give you an additional increase in the completion of the job transfer task. Bai Pu took a glance and chose the second option. He stuffed the blood mist butcher's body into the storage space and prepared to bring it to Kin. In the place of the blood mist butcher's body, a treasure chest engraved with strands of dark golden patterns, the main body of which is still golden, floated in front of Bai Pu. This is the treasure chest of the blood mist butcher. Bai Pu opened it immediately without hesitation. Bai Pu killed the level 6 enhanced leader blood mist butcher with a level 3 enhanced elite. Naturally, his evaluation was amazingly high. Even with a inert potion suppressing the strength of blood mist butcher, Bai Pu still got 4 draw opportunities and was able to eliminate 30 undervalued cards. You should know that the blood mist butcher's loot cards only have 48 cards in total. Bai Pu first obtained 12,339 psychic points from the treasure chest, and then chose to eliminate undervalued cards. Suddenly, there were only 18 cards floating above the treasure chest. Bai Pu never believed in metaphysics, so he casually clicked on 4 of them. You got the hero level equipment, blood mist butcher's chainsaw sword. You got an A-level enhanced card 1. You got the quest item, Nale's old pocket watch. You got the lucky bag. The lucky bag exploded with a triple crit, providing Bai Pu with a full 40,000 psychic points. Bai Pu finally understood why the lucky bag was not counted as an undervalued card and was excluded. A-level enhancement card, used when enhancing equipment in the level settlement interface. When you enhance the equipment for the next 3 times, even if the enhancement fails, the existing enhancement level will not be lost and the equipment will not be damaged. Compared with a B-level enhancement card, not only is the bottom line increased by 1, but there is also an additional guarantee that the equipment will not be damaged. Bai Pu knew that when the equipment is enhanced to +7 or above, the risk will increase significantly. Once the enhancement fails, not only will the existing enhancement level be reset to 0, but the equipment itself will also be completely destroyed and disappear. This A-level enhancement card is obviously used when the equipment is upgraded from +7 to +9. However, Bai Pu's equipment is full of equipment, and the best is only +4. The A-level enhancement card is obviously a bit ahead of his current financial resources. Bai Pu then picked up the terrifying weapon floating in the air, the blood mist butcher's chainsaw sword. This sword is more like an extremely heavy electric saw, with shark-like teeth all over it. The teeth are also specially designed. Once activated, they will vibrate at a high frequency, with an extremely strong cutting effect. Blood mist butcher's chainsaw blade, encapsulated, equipment quality, heroic, gold, equipment position, two-handed, equipment requirements, basic strength 30, basic stamina 30, attributes, additional attack damage 15-30, additional skill 1, chainsaw blade, passive, provides 30 points of armor penetration. Additional skill 2, cut, after activation, the next attack will damage the opponent's 30 points of armor and cause heavy bleeding damage. This effect has an additional priority of 3 and a cooldown of 2 hours. Durability 54/60. Description: a terrifying weapon forged in Nale's alchemy workshop. Blood mist butcher loves it very much. Right square bracket. Chapter 172 Academic Exchange. This gold equipment should be the top gold equipment, a little more powerful than my Spider Demon Lord Great Shield. Of course, as a demon equipment, the Spider Demon Tower Shield has the possibility of further evolution, which the chainsaw sword cannot compare to. Bai Pu saw that the basic strength and endurance requirements were as high as 30 points, and he could only sigh in despair. His current basic strength was 9 points less and his basic endurance was 3 points less. Even if he used the Pure Blood defense to blast himself with the power of Pure Blood and gained 7 free attributes, he still could not meet the equipment requirements. Only the 2 major talents, Gene Fragments and Pure Blood defense, can meet the requirements. Bai Pu put away the chainsaw sword and finally checked the quest item. Nale's old pocket watch, quest item. Using this item will trigger a side quest. At present, Bai Pu's main focus is still to complete the job transfer task, and he may not be able to spare the energy to do this side quest. But this side quest should point to an alchemist named Nale. Maybe it will help his job transfer task. Bai Pu waited and chose to use the quest item directly to activate the task. Unlike main quests, side quests generally do not have any penalties. If the quest is too tedious and affects Bai Pu's job transfer quest, Bai Pu can just abandon it, because the job transfer quest is now the top priority. You use the quest item, Noel's old pocket watch, silver side quest, the buried truth is revealed, quest name, the buried truth, quest objective, go to Carmore Fortress to find Alchemist Noel, quest difficulty, B level, silver side quest, quest deadline, none, equivalent to your remaining stay time in this plane, quest reward, unknown, failure penalty, none. After seeing the goal and difficulty of this quest, Bai Pu frowned. Silver side quests are about 2 levels higher in difficulty than ordinary level quests. In other words, the difficulty of this B-level silver side quest can even be compared to that of an S-level ordinary side quest. There is a reason for this. Kalmar Fortress, located in the Kalmar region on the southeast coast of Sweden, is the southeastern gateway and a heavily guarded fortress of the Blood Ring Fortress. The first army of the Shinra Expeditionary Forces included Kalmar Fortress in their first battle choices, but after weighing the pros and cons, the army commanders chose the weaker defended city of Mama. If Bai Pu wants to do this silver side quest, he has to disguise himself and sneak into the enemy camp alone. Of course, he can also persuade Zweig Duke William to attack Kalmar Fortress, but it is hard to say whether it will cause a drastic change in the difficulty of the task by taking advantage of the power of the natives. Maybe Nale will escape before the army attacks the city, or die in the siege. Bai Pu can only put this task aside for the time being. Disguising and sneaking into Kalmar Fortress, looking for Nale while hiding his identity is definitely not something that can be done in a day or two. At least the main quest of the first stage, exploring intelligence, must be completed first. After seeing Duke William again and triggering the main quest of the second stage, he can slowly work on it. Bai Pu has been sleepless for a day and a night on this trip, and has experienced a battle with the Blood Mist Butcher, and all kinds of trump cards are almost exhausted. He gave the crazy Rhino Loose a bottle of first aid ointment, asked him to apply it himself, and then rode back to Mama City. Mama City, the former Blood Ring Alchemy Laboratory, is now Kin's Alchemy Laboratory. After taking a bath, Bai Pu took a 2-hour nap and appeared in front of Kin. You can actually kill the Blood Mist Butcher. Kin sighed, I thought you were going to ask me to help. Bai Pu certainly wouldn't say that your help would lower my mission evaluation, but just smiled and said, lucky is better. The Blood Ring is also planning to capture the Blood Mist Butcher and has developed an inert potion formula that restrains his speed. Hey, is there another flesh and blood alchemy formula that I don't know about? Or is it to restrain the first generation of deformers? Kin pushed her monocle, her watery eyes glowing, and her plump body like a snake twisted up. Teacher Dio, teach me. So, an academic exchange that is easy to understand began. Ms. Kin seemed to be a devout believer in religion. During the more than half an hour of academic exchange, she kept calling the name of God. But she also uttered some meaningless monosyllabic words, which made her seem less pious. I'm sorry, Mr. Dior and Ms. Kin are having an academic exchange, you can't go in. The expeditionary guards at the gate stopped the blood spider dutifully. The two guards' perception was not high. The alchemy tower was more than 10 meters above the ground. They certainly couldn't sense the movement of the alchemy laboratory on the top floor. Hey, you're back. Bai Pu's head popped out of the top floor window, and then was pulled back by a fair and delicate arm. The blood spider had a blank expression on his face. He picked up the small notebook and quickly wrote down a 4-character phrase. Then he began to wait boredly, occasionally kicking the stones on the roadside. Just when the blood spider kicked away the 101st stone, the door of the alchemy tower finally opened, and Bai Pu walked out. Academic exchange. The blood spider stared at Bai Pu. Bai Pu said confidently, I taught Kin a very useful alchemy formula. She will use this formula to conduct extended research and strive to develop a wider range of uses. Blood spider erased the 4 words he had just written with doubt. How is the intelligence collection going? Have you found the first generation of deformers? Bai Pu asked. In the past 2 days, the scouts have explored the 3 blood ring controlled areas according to your request. Because they dare not go deep into the farms controlled by the blood ring, they did not get much information about the first generation of deformers. Blood Spider said, however, I found a farm controlled by the blood ring, killed an elite, and got an observation log from the other party's treasure chest. Bai Pu took the observation log. Observation log of the Sigma district, Scarlet Wings, very good, thank you very much. Bai Pu believes in the principle of equivalent exchange, and immediately said, as a thank you, I can show you how to discover the value of this observation log. If you are willing. Blood Spider was still very humble and nodded immediately. Bai Pu took out the observation log of Eister district, and described how to calculate the appearance pattern of the target deformer through the data in the observation log, and then said, it is known that the blood ring is also capturing these powerful first-generation deformers. These observation logs are the preliminary preparations made by the blood ring. In the flesh and blood factory in Eister district, I also obtained an inert potion for the blood mist butcher, which can greatly weaken his strength. You have killed the blood mist butcher. Blood Spider's mask could not see her expression, but her eyes widened several degrees. The body of the blood mist butcher is in Kin's alchemy laboratory. Blood Spider looked up and down at Bai Pu for a while, and felt a sense of collapse. Her understanding of Bai Pu was still stuck in the scene of the Three Kingdoms, Red Cliff. At that time, her sudden attack made Bai Pu helpless. If Bai Pu had not been insidious and cunning, and had Gan Ning and two generals ambushed on the side, the top scorer in the college entrance examination would definitely be in her pocket. And the blood mist butcher is her level 6 enhanced leader. She thought to herself that she did not have the strength to do it alone. It's like a long-distance race. Blood Spider thought he was far ahead, but when he turned back to catch up with his opponent, he was told that he was about to be lapped. Black question mark face JPG. The first update of the new year, I wish you all happiness and health in 2024, and a prosperous career and love. 2 more chapters today, in fact, the additional chapters are for full subscription conditions, and it is more festive on the first day of 2024. Of course, let me say one more thing. Please guarantee the minimum monthly ticket. Chapter 173 I don't really feel anything. Bai Pu did not give Blood Spider time to prepare himself mentally, and started teaching by tapping the blackboard. You must be good at discovering all the help that is helpful in completing the task. For example, even if you don't know the formula of this inert potion, you must find a way to find an alchemist among the indigenous people and entrust him to make it. Often, doing so can also discover 1 or 2 small side quests. Blood Spider suddenly stopped recording in the small notebook, raised his hand and asked, how did you know the exact location of Eister Town? I guessed it, my luck has always been good. Bai Pu did not say that he calculated it, and said calmly, if it were you, you could walk along the Blood Ring Road. Because the road itself was built to transport food and military supplies between different towns and farms in the Blood Ring. Even if you go in the wrong direction and don't find Eister Town in the first place, you can find the next Blood Ring farm. In this way, it is only a matter of time to find Eister Town. What should we do next? Go find Scarlet Wings. Blood Spider was convinced. Except for doubts about Bai Pu's character, she had completely trusted Bai Pu's ability. I must find Scarlet Wing, but I have to wait until Kin finishes her work. Bai Pu said. What work? Blood Spider picked up the small notebook again. I asked her to help me make some alchemical potions. It also includes an improved version of the inert potion for the first generation of mutants. She needs to spend some time to study it. Bai Pu said. Blood Spider suddenly had an idea. Since that woman named Kin listens to you so much, and even lets you deal with the criminals she caught herself, can't you let her go with you to do the mission? No. Bai Pu looked at Blood Spider with a very surprised look, as if he was surprised that she could ask such a question, and said as a matter of course, now that the expeditionary force has finally occupied the city of Mama and seized a bridgehead for Duke William's main army, how important is its strategic position? Zweig and Kin are the 2 backbones of Mama City, one bright and one dark. How could she abandon the important task of guarding Mama and go out with me to do private work? At least I have to wait until the main army of Duke William arrives, then I can hope to ask Kin to provide limited help. From another perspective, the will of the spiritual world will not allow me to complete the SS level job transfer task so cleverly. Kin is a level 6 enhanced leader. If she participates in Bai Pu's job transfer task, the SS difficulty rating must be immediately reduced to below A level. What if Bai Pu completes the job transfer task with 100% completion? Even if the A-level job transfer task is 100% completed, the Awakener template that can be given may not be comparable to Bai Pu's enhanced elite template at this time. According to the second level transfer information collected by Bai Pu, the second job transfer of the Awakener at the level 4 threshold is an important test for the will of the spirit world to evaluate the development potential of the Awakener. The evaluation criteria are completely different from the trial task of the first job transfer. The trial task of the first job transfer can be cheated to a limited extent, because at that time you have not yet awakened, you are just an ordinary person, completely in the dark in the spirit world, and everything starts from scratch. Even if you cheat, it means that your own wisdom and ability are part of your potential. The second job transfer task completely eliminates the need for cheating, because at this time the Awakener has already experienced the growth of the low-level stage. It is considered a unit test and blatant cheating is not allowed during the test. The teacher of the spirit worlds will wants to see the candidate's ability and resilience to complete difficult tasks without the direct help of external forces. Understand? The above 2 points are the reason why I didn't ask Kin to take action. Even if we go to attack the Scarlet Wings this time, we may face the Awakeners of the Blood Ring camp, and Kin cannot be allowed to participate. Bai Pu made a summary. The Blood Spider actually reacted, nodded and said, "It is indeed possible to face the Awakeners of the Blood Ring, because from the map, the Signa district where the Scarlet Wings appear is located in Karsk province, not far from Stockholm, especially compared with the Eyster district where the Blood Mist Butcher appears. According to the intelligence you just said, Blood Ring is also actively capturing these first-generation deformers, so when we go to the Signa district this time, we are likely to encounter the awakened ones of Blood Ring. Am I right?" "Yes." Bai Pu nodded slightly. This is a relatively simple truth. Blood Spider also thought of who Bai Pu was afraid of, the A-level wanted criminal under the command of the Superstar Alliance, the 6th-level hero profession, Hidden Snake. In this way, it is definitely a wise choice to wait for the alchemy potion made by Kin to be completed, make adequate preparations, and then go to the Signa district. But what if the awakened ones of the Blood Ring arrive first and capture Scarlet Wing? Blood Spider couldn't help asking. Bai Pu smiled and said, "They won't kill Scarlet Wing. It's not that easy to capture Scarlet Wing alive. And even if Scarlet Wing is captured and enslaved, it doesn't matter. Our main quest enemy is the Blood Ring Fortress, and there will still be a chance to face Scarlet Wing in the future." Bai Pu then took the intelligence recorded by the scout team in the past 2 days and began to draw a map of the distribution of Blood Ring's military forces. His brain started working quickly, and in just half an hour, he had drawn a distribution map of the Blood Ring's military forces in 3 regions, Skåne, Karsk, and Kalmar. You finished this main mission 1 that took 72 hours and half an hour. After receiving the prompt main mission 1, intelligence exploration completed, you can submit. Blood Spider wanted to pry open Bai Pu's head to see if there was a smart chip inside. Bai Pu frowned and said, "Isn't the main mission completed in time? Who would spend all the time on the main mission?" Blood Spider lowered his head in shame. "But it's not time to submit yet. I guess Zweiga's not qualified for us to activate the main mission too, so let's wait until Duke William arrives." While waiting for Kin, Bai Pu seized the opportunity and asked Blood Spider to guide her in advanced fighting. In fact, she was just a sparring partner. Bai Pu was like a sponge, absorbing nutrients all the time to make herself improve. This was especially to Blood Spider's liking, and she readily agreed. All the combat expertise of the awakened melee type have something in common. For example, after the advanced weapon, two-handed swordsmanship reaches advanced level 5, Bai Pu's advanced weapon, one-handed swordsmanship and two-handed hammer expertise are slowly increasing, and now they are close to advanced level 3. The improvement of advanced weapon expertise will also make it easier to improve advanced combat expertise. After all, apart from specific skills, the other basic tricks in terms of force skills and timing of attack are in common. This is the so-called one method. All methods are mastered. Blood Spider seized this opportunity and taught Bai Pu a good lesson. First, he attacked with fists and feet, and then with throws and attacks, which made Bai Pu very embarrassed. His combat expertise was suppressed by Blood Spider, and his agility was also severely suppressed. However, Bai Pu later changed his tactics, and despite taking 3 punches and 1 kick from Blood Spider, he rushed over to grab Blood Spider's waist, relying on his high strength, and refused to let go, and finally won a game. "Papa!" Applause came. "What a wonderful fight!" Qin Zioying's voice sounded, "But are the postures of both of you now likely to cause misunderstanding?" Bai Pu then realized that his entire face was buried in the fat-headed ghost pattern on the blood spider's chest. He had just grabbed the blood spider's waist, and his whole body leaned forward to exert force, trying to push the blood spider to the ground, which naturally included the force of the head, and this happened to be the position of the fat-headed ghost. "Let me go," the blood spider said in shame and anger. Bai Pu quickly let go and wiped his face. Looking at the blood spider's eyes of shame and anger, Bai Pu quickly explained, "It's through the leather armor, so there's actually nothing to feel." After these words came out, the blood spider's eyes became even more angry, and he wanted to take out his own set of double blades and punish Bai Pu severely. Chapter 174 Harpoon Cannon. "Okay, Dio. Don't treat a lady like that." Qin came over to smooth things over, smiling and saying to Blood Spider, "I apologize for Dio's rudeness, young lady." Blood Spider said nothing. Bai Pu coughed lightly. "Qin, how is the research on the inert potion going?" "Well, I combined some historical data I obtained before, changed the ratio, and made 2 new bottles of potion. One bottle is for Scarlet Wings, and the other is for Grand Duke of Bergen." Qin adjusted his monocle and regained his scholarly rigor. The inventor of the inert potion is really a genius. Starting from the weaknesses of the first generation of deformers and magnifying their weaknesses, it can indeed greatly weaken their strength. After my modification, the 2 bottles of inert potion, the one for Scarlet Wings, weakened his endurance, and the one for Grand Duke of Bergen weakened its strength. I believe you can make the most of these 2 bottles of potion. Qin handed 2 bottles of inert potions, as well as some alchemical potions for strengthening, amplifying, and restoring status, to Bai Pu. The 2 bottles of inert potions were contained in bottles of special colors. One bottle of potion was dark yellow, which was for Scarlet Wings. The other bottle of potion was dark red, which was for the Grand Duke of Bergen. Sweden, Karsk Province, Signa District. In a valley, a group of blood ring farmers were lying on the cold mud ground in a mess, as if dead. Only the slight rise and fall of their chests could prove that they were still alive. Not long after, a monster appeared in the valley. Scarlet eyes, bat-like red wings growing behind, skinny body unusually light, slightly shriveled spherical fat vaguely visible on the chest. It should be a woman before the deformation. The air resistance seemed to be non-existent for her. Even the Scarlet Wings' walking posture was to lightly tap the ground with her toes, and then float forward in the air for a big step. Damn it, this monster's agility must be around 80 or 90. An awakened person wearing a green scarf, hiding on the side of the mountain, swallowed his saliva with a dry mouth. Can we really deal with this monster? Will it find us in advance? Another awakened person holding a giant tower shield curled his lips. You are afraid of nothing. We have the illusion cast by Lord Jindy. As long as you wait for this beast to eat people, and then shoot the harpoon cannon accurately, it will be a great achievement. Scarlet Wing's perception was not high, and she did not notice the danger lurking on the cliffs on both sides. She had obviously not eaten for a long time. When she saw the rations in the valley, she screamed excitedly, spread her wings, and rushed over. The farmers were in a state of sleep and had no sense of fear at all. Of course, this was a good thing, because staying awake at this moment was futile, and there was no way to defend or escape from the high speed of Scarlet Wings. It would be better to die in your sleep. Scarlet Wings clasped a farmer's shoulders with a pair of sharp claws, and leaped into the air with force. The red wings vibrated in the air, and when the corpse was thrown down from the sky, it had become a shriveled shell, and fell to the ground with a snap like a wrung towel. Scarlet Wings circled excitedly in the sky, and her hawk-like red eyes looked down below. She did not find the awakened ones hiding on the cliffs on both sides, because the latter had the concealment skills of the illusionist Jindy. Scarlet Wings did not raise any vigilance, so it was impossible for them to carefully search the ridges on both sides before feeding. This had nothing to do with priority. After circling twice, Scarlet Wings selected another target, dived, and grabbed another farmer like an eagle hunting, and flew high into the air. Scarlet Wings' second feeding was obviously faster. After throwing away the second mummy, it dived down again. However, when she flapped her wings this time, her speed slowed down a lot. The powerful anesthetic we just injected into those mud-legged people is taking effect. On the cliff, the awakened one holding a shield whispered, "Aim and shoot quickly." Lord King Butterfly said that this guy has a strong ability to resist poison, and the components of the anesthetic will be excreted from his body in a few seconds. The awakener wearing a green scarf agreed and pressed the harpoon cannon with both hands. The harpoon cannon, also known as the whaling gun, is made of strong springs and high-strength cables, and can fire a metal spear with an iron chain. The tip of the spear has a sharp curved hook barb. This weapon looks relatively primitive, and is generally used by Nordic fishing boats to hunt whales, but after the Hidden Snake team collected it, it was modified and the bullet speed of the metal spear was increased, and it became a weapon against winged creatures. Duo. With a bang, the metal spear whistled out with a long iron chain. On the opposite cliff, a metal spear was also shot out. Obviously, there was more than one such ambush, and the Hidden Snake team took a double insurance approach. Scarlet Wing sensed the danger and instinctively wanted to dodge. But when she was dodging, her body suddenly became dazed, and she actually made a meaningless circle in the air, and then flew high into the sky. This slight delay allowed a green scarf awakener's harpoon cannon to hit the target, and it pierced the wings of the Scarlet Wing. On the contrary, the harpoon cannon on the opposite cliff made a mistaken prediction, missed the target in the air, and fell down. It worked. Fortunately, Lady Gold Butterfly took action. Her illusion technique is really unique, and she can even interfere with the enhanced leader. The green scarf awakener said excitedly. Several other awakeners who were lurking nearby rushed over. The tall and thin man in the lead patted the green scarf on the shoulder and smiled. Well done. This tall and thin man in a black windbreaker was another core teammate of Hidden Snake, Nightwing. He commanded several younger brothers to grab the high-strength cable and pull the net back inch by inch like fishing. Scarlet Wing struggled to take off again, but it was in vain. Her strength was not her strong point, so she could only fall to the ground again. A man with snake eyes and a cold temperament jumped down from the opposite cliff lightly and appeared in front of Scarlet Wing. He was the level 6 hero profession, Hidden Snake. Behind Hidden Snake, there was a petite woman. She was wearing a soft yellow cloth robe with bright golden patterns embroidered on it. She looked like a blooming golden chrysanthemum, giving people a feeling of cherishing and care. This woman in the soft yellow robe was naturally the illusionist in the core 3-person group of the Hidden Snake team, Golden Butterfly. Pull the cable and fix the harpoon cannon. You must not let go. Scarlet Wing's strength attribute is not much stronger than yours. With the combined efforts of the three of them, she will definitely not be able to break free. Not to mention the weight of the harpoon cannon. Nightwing gave a few instructions, then looked at the awakened one holding the shield. File, come with me. The awakener named File agreed, followed Nightwing and rushed down the cliff, just in time to meet up with Hidden Snake and Golden Butterfly. At this point, even if Scarlet Wing did not have complete thinking ability, she could understand that she was being plotted against by the group of humans in front of her. She immediately screamed, dragged the long cable, and pounced on the Hidden Snake who was walking in front. The speed of this attack was extremely fast, but the speed of Hidden Snake was definitely not slow. He pulled out 2 short swords with both hands, and with 2 light clangs, he shook off the pounce of Scarlet Wing, and then crossed his hands to draw a dark cross of energy. Scarlet Wing's figure suddenly flashed and moved sideways to avoid. At a glance, Hidden Snake was able to fight back and forth with Scarlet Wing, exchanging a move but not being injured. The awakeners of the Hidden Snake team were in high spirits. Golden Butterfly took out a staff, and Nightwing took out a crossbow and attacked Scarlet Wing. Scarlet Wings dodged again, switching targets while avoiding the attack. Her fighting instinct told her that it was no use to continue fighting with this enemy who was as fast as her. It would be better to clear the field first and then slowly fight him. Scarlet Wings attacked a Golden Butterfly in a light yellow robe. Extra updates will be delivered on time. Please vote for me, to make a good start for the new year. There are 2 more updates today, one at noon and one at night. Chapter 175 Siege. She was fast, but Hidden Snake was definitely not slow either, almost following closely. At the same time, the shield-wielding awakener named File roared and raised his tower shield to block the Golden Butterfly. The Golden Butterfly waved his staff and cast an illusion. Suddenly, 4 files appeared in Scarlet Wing's field of vision at the same time, all holding tower shields, protecting the Golden Butterfly firmly. Scarlet Wing swung his claws and swept across, and the 2 files turned into light and shadow and dissipated. In this delay, Hidden Snake had already rushed forward, and the double blades were like high-speed rotating drills, deeply embedded in Scarlet Wing's body. Scarlet Wing's body suddenly floated up and was head into a floating state. This is exactly the skill that Hidden Snake has cultivated to level 6, top spin slash. Level 4 top spin slash adds a success rate to the judgment, and the template difference between Hidden Snake and Scarlet Wing is not large, so the first strike works. Nightwing's crossbow fired 3 shots in a row, duo, nailing Scarlet Wing's eyes with incredible precision. That is, Scarlet Wing's upper limit of health is extremely high, exempting the disability judgment, otherwise Scarlet Wing's eyes must be blinded directly. At this time, Scarlet Wing also showed its strength as a level 6 enhanced leader. This terrible monster regained its balance in midair, and with a point of its claws, it accurately touched the dagger of Hidden Snake, and its body leaped back with a force, pulling away. After landing as lightly as a willow leaf, Scarlet Wing suddenly stretched out its claws behind her, and with a crash sound, she pulled down the metal spear with barbs. Although doing so caused great damage to her fragile wings, half of the wings drooped diagonally, and it seemed that she could not fly, but the red fierce light in Scarlet Wing's eyes became more and more fierce. When Bai Pu and others arrived, they saw such a scene. Fortunately, we made it. This is a very delicate time. Let's just wait and see. Bai Pu opened his mental shield. Are you sure? Blood Spider asked doubtfully. This is a job transfer task. It's best for you to do it yourself. If others interfere, it will lower your task evaluation. Although the interference of Yinch and others was not Bai Pu's subjective intention, it would also lower the task evaluation. Of course, if the aboriginals polluted the task, the evaluation would be even more exaggerated. That can't be helped. In fact, I never had the extravagant hope of having 100% completion and getting a perfect evaluation from the beginning. Bai Pu said seriously, as long as I can get the body of Scarlet Wing, the 10% completion will not be less. If it doesn't work, I can use the bodies of other powerful first-generation deformers to make up for it. At most the completion will be lower. After a pause, Bai Pu said, of course, a level 6 enhanced leader may not be killed like this. To be honest, I don't think much of the Hidden Snake team, even though their combined strength far exceeds mine. At this time on the battlefield, Scarlet Wing suddenly opened his mouth and let out a silent scream. One ring after another of transparent air ripples appeared, and Hidden Snake and Golden Butterfly inevitably went blank in their brains and fell into coma. This is Scarlet Wing's powerful control skill, Super Wave Shock. Hidden Snake's body flashed with light, and it was obvious that he had cast the control release skill, but the priority was not high enough, so he could only release most of the control time. Scarlet Wing had already pounced over, and the speed was much faster than before. She pounced on the Hidden Snake, and her sharp claws grabbed the Hidden Snake's shoulder, and bit it. The Hidden Snake's neck quickly withered, revealing a dull white luster. But in the next second, the Hidden Snake's figure gradually faded, as if it had entered another dimension. You can see his phantom, but you can't attack him. After drinking a mouthful of blood, Scarlet Wing lost its target. She flipped her body and ejected, leaving only 2 thin strips of meat torn from the Hidden Snake's shoulder by the claws. This is the professional skill of the Hidden Snake, shadow walking. In order not to alert the enemy, Bai Pu did not throw the 9 chapters to the Hidden Snake, but he had collected most of the information about the Hidden Snake from different channels. This is the characteristic of the psychic era. In the current information developed era, it is difficult for any awakened person to keep his secrets for a long time. Even the notorious A-level wanted criminal Yinch could not kill every awakened person who knew his intelligence information. Naturally, his intelligence information would be leaked out bit by bit, and even posted on the homepage of the Secret Service's intelligence database. Shadow Walk is a professional skill of the hero profession, Phantom Dragon Fang. After activation, it allows Hidden Snake to sneak into the Shadow Realm for a short period of time. During this period, only his phantom can be seen, and no attack can affect him. After Hidden Snake emerges from the Shadow Realm, his next attack will be accompanied by the toxicity of Shadow Dragonborn, causing continuous dark attribute damage. The cooldown time is 30 minutes. Moreover, Hidden Snake's Shadow Walk has reached level 6 at this time, and there is also a level 4 special effect, Shadow Affinity. He can activate Shadow Walk again within 180 seconds after activating Shadow Walk. This professional skill combines life-saving and output into one, which can be said to be very powerful. Coupled with Hidden Snake's high agility value of 80 points, it is definitely the most terrifying assassin. But Scarlet Wing is more agile, and seems to have some kind of ability to accelerate again, which is more terrifying than Hidden Snake. Her figure leaped and shot on the field, leaving a slightly illusory afterimage in the retina. Nightwing's crossbow shooting couldn't catch up with Scarlet Wing's speed, and even Gold Butterfly's basic magic bullet attack with advanced meditation trajectory correction mostly missed. Scarlet Wing soon found an opportunity and scratched Nightwing with one claw, causing blood to splatter everywhere. The awakened file holding the shield was fearless and pushed forward, but his tower shield was completely useless. Suppression. Combat expertise, agility, speed, complete suppression in all aspects without dead ends. File was like a stone, struggling to support in the storm of Scarlet Wing's ubiquitous attack, with bloodstains all over his body. Soon he was hit with a huge flaw, and Scarlet Wing's claws violently rolled everything, and cut off File's arms. File howled in pain, and the tower shield fell to the dust with his hands powerlessly. Without the defense of the tower shield, he could only close his eyes and wait for death. At this moment, the phantom of the hidden snake appeared behind Scarlet Wing. Behind him, a majestic dragon-head shadow roared to the sky, obviously activating some kind of enhanced skills, and a pair of short swords stabbed into Scarlet Wing's back like cutting tofu. This attack caused Scarlet Wing to be deeply injured, and also added a vicious continuous dark attribute damage. However, Scarlet Wing also got evil, grabbed the file with his backhand, and bit it. The body of the file quickly became shriveled, and after Scarlet Wing drank a lot of blood, his mental state did not decline but improved, and his pair of red eyes became more fierce. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.